Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's up, Panther fans? It's Tony Dunn with the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Tonight, we're in the dead zone of football, but we found some stuff to talk about. In fact, I got to say, this show will always
Hämmere weiter. Hämmere weiter.
keep pounding in German right there.
Yeah.
There you go, folks, is the Carolina Panthers are going to be playing in Munich. We saw some signs of that going forward, or at least some suggestions last year, particularly that the Roaring Riot was out there scoping out the dig. So we knew this was coming, and maybe Buenos Aires is next, because they were there this past year too. So look, we've got we've got news all around the world, but we're focusing on the Carolina Panthers. We've got a new analytics specialist coming to the team, and we've got the coolest people around to talk about it. And one of my favorite people is my wheelman, Cody Leck.
Yes, sir. I named the show Können Panther-Fans Deutsch Sprechen. Can Panther fans speak German? Because we're going to have to. We're going to Germany to play the New York Giants. And listen, this is as big a news as we really have to talk about, Tony. You mentioned it. We're sort of having to fight to fill show space. But listen, when you have the benefit of coming here every Tuesday night and hanging with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube, Tony Dunn, it's always a pleasure. You know him, I love him. It's Panther Pickle, AJ Brooks, Joey the Blind Panther, D's Ill Skills. What's up, brother? My man Kyle, Charlotte Sports 1, Dan Floyd, Hemlock, my man Jake the Snake FU, James Island Panther, Jorge Marcelo, Kristen Butler in the building. What's up, Kristen? Matt Knows Nothing. My man, Mr. Strats. D off the porch. What's up, bro? Panther Gal 73, Patty Grimes, and the real AP. Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. You can jump into the conversation. Smash the thumbs up button. Consider being an AC3 super fan for just $1.99. And hey, let's say hello. Or should we say, I looked up hello in German, and it was just hello. So you just have to say hello. Hello, CK.
Hello. Man, yeah, it's a little bit of a continuation of the dead season. We have some stuff happening tomorrow night, which would have been great to happen today.
Tomorrow night?
They're going to do the schedule release. Yeah, the schedule release stuff happens tomorrow night, but we already know not a lot of the specifics, but there's some leaks that have happened that we could talk about the games and what have you. But at the end of the day, we're just essentially going to recap a little bit of rookie mini camp, maybe some of those interviews we heard, and talk about going to Germany this year.
Have you ever wondered what it sounds like to say
Heilige sind scheiße.
the Saints suck in German?
Yeah.
Scheiße.
Say that one more
Heilige
time.
sind scheiße.
All right, here it goes.
Heilige sind scheiße.
Heiligen Scheiße.
Heiligen sind scheiße. Yeah, I'm down, dude.
In Germany, as well as in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins doesn't deal in hypotheticals. We'll talk about that as well. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's show. Can you tell us what the title is?
So the title for tonight's show is Können Panther-Fans Deutsch Sprechen. Can Panther fans speak German? Because let me tell you what, it's a hell of an opportunity for the Carolina Panthers to do so. I have the official tweet, but the Carolina Panthers are going to be playing the New York Giants in, I believe it's Munich, Germany, right?
Yeah, that's what I saw today. Munich, Germany.
Yeah, what do we think about this, man? I don't know necessarily how early in the season this is going to be, but now fans are going to have to kind of help me out. This is going to be one of those early games where they're going to start at like 7 or 8:30 in the morning or something like that, right?
Well, it's good for our post-game show.
Start. Oh, yeah, it's great for the post-game show. We'll be done in no time.
Never in my life, though, have I gotten up on time for one of these international games. Like, I'm always like, oh, big game tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and then I'll go out and have fun the night and then wake up and like 11:30 and be catching like the fourth quarter. It's you know what we figure out is actually what it's like to watch football in California.
Yeah, you're gonna get a little bit of that taste and realize how sucky that must be to wake up at 10 o'clock and have the first thing you do, like basically sometimes not even be able to do anything on Saturday night because you have to get up early to watch NFL games. It's gonna be irritating. But man, I'll tell you what, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out. If it is true that it's the Giants, I'm actually happy about that because we are going to be more likely to have an actual home field advantage in Germany as opposed to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to have way too many bandwagon fans in an international game like that. So I think that gives us the best possible scenario for having to play in an international game, to be honest with you.
Dude, if we can get a good crowd of people in Germany rocking the processed blue. Listen, I tell you, Tony, it seems like every Friday we have a brand new person coming to the free for all this from a different country, man. I feel like the Panthers have a good fan base in Germany. This is one of the things that we've learned recently. I think this was a great decision. I don't know how many international games the Panthers have ever had. Is this the first game that we played on?
No. We played in London in a few years ago because I got the Keep Pounding shirt.
Yeah, that's right. And we made the shirt. I
can't remember who did we play. I think we played Jacksonville, maybe.
Was it Arizona? Who did? Didn't it? Wasn't Christian McCaffrey in that game? And he went off and had an incredible run. I'm
pretty sure it was the Jags. It sounds like it was a Jags game, if I'm not mistaken.
Now,
it might have been Tampa Bay.
Just to let you know, we had 14 audio downloads in Germany last month.
Yes, we already have a German fan base, baby. C3 is an international fan podcast. Dude, how dope would it be to do a show from Germany? God, that'd be fucking.
Not the top country I'd go to.
No, probably not, but still fun nonetheless, man.
Oh yeah. I've been to and it was rainy and I was just there for a day, Hamburg. Like I went on this tour, this EF tour thing through college when I was in college, and we did like something like 7 countries in 11 days.
One of those.
It was, Europe. 2 days in Paris or 1 day in Hamburg, 1 day in Amsterdam. I always wrote the terrible joke I make is that we were in Belgium as long as the Germans were, 3 hours. Zinga.
So kind of off topic, but everyone that goes to Paris that I know tells me that it's fucking disgusting over there and that it's like trashy. It's not. It's not. It's one of the top cities in one of my favorite cities in the world. Really?
But they do.
My buddy said there was trash on the streets.
Probably, because the Parisians they love to strike and revolt and protest, and so I was there one time, and the entire sanitation department was on strike.
Oh shit!
And I wonder if he was there for something like that, where they were like, "Screw this, we're just not picking up the trash."
Yeah.
Until you give us more benefits or something like this. So they're really big. Every time I have been in Paris, there is some sort of wild ass protest going on though too.
Vive la revolution, baby!
Yeah, no kidding. No, great city. My favorite though, if we could play or if I could go back, is to Copenhagen. Denmark. Incredible, dope ass city. I had more fun there than Amsterdam. Dude, if you guys want to watch, just learn about something wild, just go read the Wikipedia page of this place called Christiania in Copenhagen. And it's this like these hippies after World War II bought this like ultimately a rubble pile from the city of Copenhagen.
Yeah.
And they created their own like province. So like right in the middle of the city was like an independent province. And when you walked in, it said no police, no cameras, no hard drugs. And it was like a hippie commune, basically. They did run into some problems with the Denmark government from the last I heard, because they sold weed, right? Like that's how they like funded their community. I think a lot of it.
Drug money.
And but it was like cool, man. Like I was there, it was like some old people beside me from Florida chill. It was real nice, real hip and laid back. But some like real gangsters tried to like take over their business or wanted their connections, and they wouldn't deal with them. So one day these gangsters came in there with like submachine guns and shot it up, and like a tourist got killed. And Denmark was like,
"Geez,
we got to put some rules on this bitch."
Yeah.
It was cool though. It was fun. Bus number 8. If you're ever in Copenhagen, get on bus number 8. It will take you there.
How about this? We'll go across the panel and we'll ask everyone in the chat room, what country, if you could pick and have your pick, what country would you love to travel to go see a Panthers game? My answer, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Yeah. Or no, that's what maybe we were looking at, right? Was it BA?
It was rumored that it was Rio de Janeiro that we were rumored to be playing in. But that would have been awesome.
People in the chat, Japan. I watched I watched Shogun to the end, and I just want to call it Japan. What has he say it? He like says it multiple Japan. The Japanese.
Japanese.
Australia. That would be a cool one. I dread that flight.
Yeah, that's
I got one.
All right, hit us up.
16-hour flight.
In honor of our tryout kicker, Ireland.
Oh, totally. That'd be fun.
I think Notre Dame is playing in Ireland. Either they played last year or they're gonna play in Ireland soon.
That's a great, maybe, I don't know. It's now we're just talking about countries we want to go to.
Well, yeah, I look at it from
seeing a football game there and seeing a for example, Germany. That's a good answer because there is a large contingent of Panther fans in Germany. So that would be a fun one.
If we happen to sign this kicker, we're going to have a tremendous amount of fans in Ireland. I'll tell you that much. So, which I'm fine with. Last name is Kelly over here. So,
yeah. Muscles Marinara, of course, bringing in the Italia. Actually, I would love to just go anywhere at this point. I'm trying to think of a country that I would love to go to. Greece at some point.
Anywhere where the stadium sings and it's like a giant concert, like the UK.
Yeah. We really gotta adopt some of those football traditions.
Yes, where the whole fucking stadium has a chant that's all like "fuck you" to the other team.
Yeah,
dude, we need that energy. Shout out to Dan Floyd. He's from Newcastle. He understands this shit, man. Yeah,
Dan Floyd says England has games, and you could go to Ireland on the weekend in the UK. Yeah, you can drive. Yeah, I think England or all of the UK can fit in Texas like 5 times or some crap like that.
Yeah, it's wild. People don't realize how big. Like even people in other countries, even though they know our geography, they don't really realize how big America is until they really see their country inside of America.
Oh, totally.
What a shocker. Joey the Blind Panther wants to go to either Rio or Bangkok. Yeah, he wants to go where the girls are easy, bro.
I would love to go to Thailand. Bro. My friend went on his honeymoon to Thailand, and he said, and he's a big black guy. I mean, he said black people are like gods there. Dude, he loved it. Like, he was like, they all thought I was the coolest shit ever.
Oh, dude, the foreigners post videos of them walking down the streets in Thailand, and there's like girls just throwing themselves on it.
Yeah.
Honestly, wild.
I think, let me see. Oh, you were talking about how people don't know how big we are until they get here in some cases. When I was in graduate school, I worked in the basement government docks at the library at ECU. And there was an undergrad student, I forget her name, but she was from England, international student. And when I told her my wife's family goes on, they're from Georgia, and they've been going on this vacation. They've got like these condos, like timeshares in the mountains in Helen, Georgia. And they've been going every year since like 1977, basically. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to be here next week, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, where you going? I'm going here. And I said, well, she said, are you driving? I said, yeah, we're driving. She said, how long does that take? And I was like, 7 hours. And she was like, what? She was floored. She was like, I would never drive anywhere over 3 hours ever.
Oh yeah, dude, from North Carolina to Louisiana is at least 13 hours.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah, it totally is. It's 13 straight hard, a hard 13.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Yeah.
The Panthers heading to Germany.
Heilige sind scheiße.
And the Saints suck there, too.
Hey, at least you know what? Now it's kind of weird that we don't have Frank Reich. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So the news around the NFL was we saw a release of the 2024 strength of schedule. So I guess that means they have narrowed down all the opponents that teams are facing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really only have 2 question marks at every year as far as what the randomization of the teams that we're going to be facing. We have a pretty good idea, like we know set in stone who all of our opponents are, except for 2 every year. I think maybe 3 now that they added the 17th game.
Right. Which, I forgot to mention that means we lose a home game here so David Tepper, I'm sure. So we're going to find some way to squeeze out that missed revenue. Maybe that's why he raised ticket prices this past year. So yeah, CK, you're right, is that they cycle the divisions, right? And then you get 2 games that are out of division that are kind of surprise. Really, the big kind of thing is when you play, when the bye is, and is it home or away, generally is what the big schedule release tells you. Go ahead, Cody.
No, I mean, just looking at the strength of schedule, the Panthers are near the very bottom.
They should be.
Which is a good thing. But we can't really even celebrate it because of who's right near us. One, the Atlanta Falcons have the easiest schedule in all of football, followed only very closely by the New Orleans Saints. And by the way, both of them have a 4.453 opponent win percentage. So they're sitting pretty. The Bears, who we have this new rivalry with, and then we have the Panthers ranked at 4th in terms of easiest schedule.
By the way,
this is good for us, but it also says to me that this division is still going to be very competitive, and we're going to have to fight for this if we want it.
And to be fair, the difference between New Orleans, Atlanta, and Carolina is they have to face us twice. So that makes
that's a good point.
Otherwise, if we were in if Atlanta had our record and we had Atlanta's, it would be the opposite. We would be down at the bottom with New Orleans and Atlanta.
Great point. We actually made their strength of schedule easier and they have to play us twice.
That's when you double it up like that, it's significant. You'll see that pretty much every year when you have one of the same thing. You'll see in any division where there's normally a very bad team, is you're going to see their number dip down their strength of schedule. And it's not going to be like, dropping you from the top to the middle or anything like that, but it's significant.
It has an impact.
You're dropping,
has a mathematical impact. All right. So strength of schedule, the Panthers. I mean, of course, when you're a bad team, they put you up against previous bad teams.
Yeah.
The strength of schedule, though, is all just based on how teams performed last year.
Right. And so the only thing, the question marks we have are the 3 games that aren't predetermined every year. And that's usually the biggest, like we can pretty much figure out the strength of schedule outside of those 3 every year at the end of each season. This year it's going to be obviously we're with 3 potential random opponents and what have you. Now we see the strengths of schedule. We could almost try to go through and predict what the the records would have to be for us to actually, for them to be in our list of the 3 players. I don't know if there's a strength of if the I could be wrong here, but I don't think that they're gonna pick the 3 random opponents based on how bad they are.
Oh, no. I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
somebody was saying we have to play the Chiefs this year.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we're playing that entire division.
Ugh.
Let me pull up the Panthers website, and then we'll show you everything.
All right, so let's see who's the teams with the toughest strength of schedule: the Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Texans, Packers, Giants, Bills, Jags. Let me see how many of those are based on. I mean, look, is the Browns and the Ravens both playing a tough division? Cincinnati, where are they? They're kind of far down. San Francisco, the Rams, Lions.
I mean, one of the things you can look at to see where it's not a matter of how strong or how bad you performed last year. The New York Giants have the 6th hardest strength of schedule in the entire league.
Yeah, and look at the Patriots as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's and again, you mentioned it. There's a bit of a more difficult schedule when you think about the Patriots having to face Miami and the Bills, who are both juggernauts in the AFC. That's going to make it that much more difficult for them to have a path to the playoffs.
Oh wow, we already know the home and the away games.
Yeah. So we'll go back and forth here. We can pick what team we want to see what their strength of schedule is. So we know we're going to have the division games, but so we know we're going to play the Giants. Let's see, where do the Giants rank?
They're on 6.
They are, they're at number 6. So again, they're depending on when you play these teams, it's going to be important because if you're in the middle of, if the Giants are playing 2 division rivals and we're smack dab in between them, that could be favorable to us. It's all about where you land those games, when you get to bye.
The Panthers are a trap game for every team.
For everyone. So who else?
Let's see. You got we already talked about the Saints. Bengals are middle of the pack. How about this? Let's talk about which game you would want to go to here.
Ooh.
I think the Giants would have to be at the top of the list
if
here.
It was in Germany. Okay.
That's
an easy one.
I would probably say the Bears would be fun just because of the rivalry that we've got.
Pick
going.
one home one and one away one.
I mean, selfishly, I would. Okay, so
come on, you better. I think I know what you're gonna pick.
You do?
Yeah, for home.
Okay. For home, I am picking Chargers.
Yeah, Justin Herbert.
I want to see J Herb.
I would kind of like to see the Bengals.
Yeah, seeing Joe Burrow would be cool. Jamar Chase
playing Dallas at home again. Didn't we have them around Thanksgiving?
That's another thing. If we're gonna play at home, I'd rather be at a game where I know Bank of America isn't going to be swarmed with opposing fans. And I feel like the Chargers, we're good. If we can't beat the Chargers fans in our own stadium, we have some real fucking problems.
CK, you better try to sell that Cowboys ticket and pay your whole season with it.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that as a Panthers.
That's the only one you're gonna get the money for. That maybe the Chiefs would bring in good money.
That's also, to Cody's point, it would be people like myself that is the reason why we can't get a culture going in the Bank of America Stadium, is because when there's a team like the Cowboys, I guarantee you the Chiefs are going to have that place in complete red. It's just we don't have the culture to be able to outstand the willingness of these other teams to be willing to pay a tremendous amount of money. You know what I mean?
Right, but baby needs new shoes. You know what I'm
saying? All right, CK, you said the Giants. The
Giants, not for just the Germany aspect of it. It's because of the Brian Burns piece of this.
Right. Yeah,
that's it. That would be the only reason. I'm looking at narratives really, and the only narratives that are worth anything in this season lineup. Last year there were a lot. This year it's only the Giants with Brian Burns and Chicago with them having Caleb Williams and DJ Moore, plus obviously all the other pieces they added this year.
Billion other pieces they got. Yeah. I think we're kind of all on the same page. I think I would pick Chicago in this case when it comes to that. All right. What else is up on the show here, my friend?
Next up on the show, since we're done with strength of schedules, so PFF put out most underrated player on every team in the NFC South, and they put Taylor Moton, and that does spark a good conversation about who is the most underrated player on the team. He's definitely the most unsung. Like Taylor Moton is not a superstar. He's not somebody that people,
I mean, how many right guards truly are?
Lane Johnson for Philly.
Look, 3 of these people are offensive linemen.
Yeah, nobody ever gives credit to the O linemen, even though they should. They make everything happen.
I think I saw a stat, something that Taylor Moton has played every snap or something like for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. If we can put a dependable right guard next to him, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen him take some kind of digress a little in some ways, but then again, now I can't even, with all the things we said from last season with the line, it's difficult to evaluate any player if they're trending up or down in that system. But Taylor Moton, 2nd round pick by the Carolina Panthers.
I
think that was a Dave Gettleman pick.
Wasn't he a 3rd? Because remember the Buffalo Bills traded up to grab Deion Dawkins, and he was right ahead of us, and we sort of assumed that that's who Gettleman.
Was that the Curtis Samuel year, or was Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, Taylor Moton, maybe? How that went?
I believe it was either 20. Yeah, I believe it was 2017. I'll look it up. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, I think he is the most underrated player on the team at this point. He's been a good one. He's necessary, and we're going to need another good year out of him right now, to be honest.
Yeah, would you agree that he's the most underrated player on the team?
I think so. I think so. I'm trying to think of anybody else I would put in that category. Like JJ Jansen.
He was drafted in 2017.
Yeah.
And you're right. It was in the 2nd round.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was the later round too, to be honest with you.
The 2nd round of the 2017 draft.
Because we've had 2 offensive linemen in the 2nd round. We had Greg Little the next year, I think.
Right. I would say that it would be Shaq Thompson. Dan Floyd talked about it. If he had played last year, I think you could have put him in that category. I just don't think that him not playing last year is going to put, a bit of an ability to put him in that category of underrated, especially coming in here being a little bit older now.
Yeah, I can't even think of another player. Derek Brown.
I don't know. You can't
league-wise
anymore.
For us, yeah. He got paid. I guess we're the only people that care about him.
Didn't he make the Pro Bowl last year?
That feels right. That feels right.
So, I wouldn't put him in that
right off the top of our heads.
Yeah, I know. It's almost as though we have a podcast about this.
I know. No kidding. It's almost like I'm trying to block out the memory of 2023 when it comes to the Carolina Panthers.
Who can blame you, man?
Yeah.
All right. What else is up here?
We have Steve Smith inducted into the Carolina Sports Hall of Fame. This is something that even Dave Canales said he was attending this conference. He grew up watching Steve, and this is great for Steve, man.
He is plugging away on his channel right now. He is doing good work there. He's I guess that because he's from California, right? So this is just completely based off of his pro career with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, that's it. There's no other connection with Carolina that he has.
Still lives in Charlotte though. I love that. I love that these players that are from
they stay here.
Yeah. Prominent places, you know what I'm saying, is going back to Cali ain't happening for that guy.
No. No. I mean,
All right.
dude,
So congratulations, Smitty.
I do love the fact that when Panthers set up roots here, they stay here, man. Greg Olson's still here. Luke Kuechly's still here. Lots of people are still here, man.
Yeah. Great. And we could debate, is he greatest Panther of all time? You know, he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of Panther greats. In some ways, I know this is probably an unpopular take, is I think Sam Mills might be up there more for the emotional appeal,
right?
Than like if we were just talking about football.
No,
I mean,
that's a fair take. If you're talking about what was done on the field,
because he did his best work in New Orleans.
Yeah, and but when Keep Pounding was implemented, it was by the time he was a coach, and he was affecting the game from the sideline, which is, you know, that's our culture. That doesn't take away from.
I'm with Dan Floyd.
I would put this is
Pep is my number one, but I think the argument against Pep is that his career wasn't entirely in Carolina, and a lot of his greatness was in Chicago and Green Bay as well.
I would put Cam Newton above.
Well, and it's the problem with
Smitty.
Above Sam Mills. And there's a fight to be had. I know what corner you're on. I know that's, you know, Steve Smith is the easy answer, but
Rushmore's 4 people, right?
Right, but yeah.
So I'll give you my Rushmore. My Rushmore is Julius Peppers, Steve Smith, Cam Newton, and Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody. I have some real honorable mentions in there maybe, but nobody I think that could edge those guys out for their contribution on the field.
Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Luke Kuechly, and Greg Olson. That's my 4.
Greg Olson. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I know. Look, to me, it's about what's your most memorable years of the Carolina Panthers. And my formative years as a Panther fan, the highest height was to me when Greg Olson was the best tight end that we've ever had. You know,
and arguably the best tight end in the league.
Great segue, actually, to another one of our new rookie who we got brought into the mix. I think it's a little bit further in the show. Skip ahead a couple, and I got to learn these guys' names. A couple more.
Sanders?
Yeah, Sanders. Here we go. Pull this up right here. Jadavius Sanders said, and this was reported, I believe I got this from The Athletic. He says, I feel like every rookie got to earn their number. I knew I wasn't gonna have a 0 coming in, so I've already had that mindset, knowing what I got to do. Come in, put in the work day in, day out to earn that number. I told everybody I'm trying to be the next Greg Olson here. He's kind of got a Greg Olson run too, like his stride, kind of uncle-ish, deceptively fast.
Isn't the difference there? If I'm not mistaken, you guys may be able to tell me on this. Olson was a better route runner than what the film shows Jatavius Sanders being. Am I incorrect in that, Cody?
Well, we don't. We'd have to go back to.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
Wasn't Olson a better route runner than Jatavius Sanders' tape shows him to be?
I mean, he was a first-round draft pick. People forget that about Greg.
Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah, I mean, I would say Greg was probably a little more polished in terms of versatility. So I think he was a better blocker coming out of college than Jatavius.
He came from the U, where we're winning championships. I tell you one thing he's better at. First is he's definitely a better rapper.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Fifth floor crew. Get weird, stick it in your ear. Third leg, Greg.
Only knew she was getting murdered by the whole damn crew.
And I like how every now and then the news will pick that song back up and be like, look at this terrible thing they did. And they're like, man, come on. No, Greg Olson was picked in the top 15, dude. I think he was like number 12 overall.
And he
went to the Bears. Actually went to the Bears. And then we got him for a 5th round pick or something, or 2nd round. Man, we got him for cheap later on. And then he really is he shined, and Cam Newton and him had a great connection. And there's one thing that this is why I've always Greg Olsen has never said one bad thing about Cam in his whole damn life. Go check every interview, and he is a Cam stan, and that Cam and him, he had his best years with Cam, and he could catch the missiles that he'd be throwing down his way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the only thing you could say about Greg saying something negative about Cam is when he didn't say something about Cam in his retirement speech.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't talk about. You don't remember that? It was a whole thing. We had a whole thing about it on the podcast. Greg had to even come on and answer. Like he had somebody ask him. He was like, it just completely forgot about mentioning. It was when Roll was still there. They had let go of Cam Newton, and it just felt like they were washing Cam from the history of the Panthers. They refused to acknowledge his existence as a Panthers player. From the front office organization to David Tepper to everybody else, the coaching staff. Nothing. And then, you have Greg Olsen go up there and say his speech and doesn't once. He talks about every other person other than Cam Newton. And it was almost blaring, just blatant at that point in time. It was just so obvious. And then he just said he forgot, which, again, I would like to take his word for it, but it just seemed so intentional. So,
I was completely wrong about the Greg Olsen thing. I thought he went 12. No, but he was 31st overall. I must be thinking of that. It might have been the same year we were one year we wanted. No, it was the Luke Kuechly year or something, or we got. I wanted Maurice Claiborne that year, corner. No Washington Cam Newton off the Mount Rushmore here.
Nope.
So we actually do have to talk about Cam Newton now.
Okay, what are you gonna talk about?
So I'm going to play this portion of Cam Newton's podcast. If we get demonetized, that's going to suck. Cam, don't demonetize us, man. We're trying to show your pod, bro. But listen, Cam Newton on his 4th and 1 show, he's been causing some controversy, man. And he's been talking about Bryce Young. Oh, boy. This started a frenzy, and I figured we had to talk about it here on the C3 Panthers podcast. Come on. Am I frozen?
Nick the Slick said, message to the butthurt Panthers fans after your Bryce Young take. You said before, you were saying, like, if you had to redo the draft, Bryce wasn't going to be number 1. He would have probably been number 3. You still standing on that? And you got anything to say to the Panthers fan that feel some type of way about that situation? Is you what?
Did y'all watch last year?
Is you watching what I'm watching? Is you dumb?
Yeah, is you? Or is you ain't? Because CJ Stroud probably had one of the most surprising, impactful
greatest rookie seasons.
Yeah, truly.
Probably outside of Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Andrew Luck's campaign was serious because they went to the playoffs too. But I'm just like, this motherfucker was dotting them hoes.
Yeah.
And then you said you could have got him.
Come on now. What'd you say? What the eyes look? They can't see you with your glasses. Say what?
Oh, shit.
We can be oblivious all we want to. We're talking about producing.
Tell the truth somewhere now.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, church.
CJ Stroud was playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Bryce is going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But what you think that'll lose to, though?
Hell, man, first off, Carolina Panthers was not a good team last year.
Yeah, but the people could have said the same thing about Houston Texans.
The Houston Texans was not a good team on paper. Matter of fact, fuck it. Madden proved to be like Houston Texans at the beginning of the season was not a good team.
Because that mean they was in the top 5 picks. So anybody up there.
Of course.
You ain't trading for it.
But damn. What they were able to do first year coach, first year.
Bro, that's God, bro. They just meshed. That ain't too many times.
That's a perfect example, Peggy. To my point, a coach knowing how to get his players going.
Yeah,
we seen it in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Same situation. You seen how players rallied
around
a situation and said, "No, we gonna fight.
We're gonna ride for you, coach."
You feel what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying. Like
So that's pretty much it, man. Cam Newton has pretty much said, he said the first time that if you're doing a redraft, Cam Newton doesn't even, Bryce doesn't even go number 2. He goes number 3 after Anthony Richardson.
Which, by the way, is
a lot of, I'm just saying this pissed off a lot of people, a lot of Panther fans, a lot of Bryce Young super believers and super supporters. Man, look, I gotta say, I feel like right now what Cam Newton said is a little just undeniable until otherwise is proven. There's no way that history isn't going to look at it that way. He's saying Bryce Young is going to need some time. I agree, but it depends on how much time we're talking about. I mean, really, I think it depends on how much time we're talking about. I got in trouble today, man. I spoke my mind on Twitter and said, like, if we don't see some sort of advancement out of Bryce this year, I'm not so confident that we're just going to name him the starter in 2025. Not trying to put the wagon in front of the horse, but right now, to me, I have zero problem with what Cam Newton said. And I don't have anything. Bryce proves otherwise. That's the truth.
Well, Cody, I think you've got to have a problem with the fact that he dropped him to 3. You can say CJ Stroud should have been taken number 1 because there's no proof that he
Lamar did have like 3 good games in a row before Anthony Richardson.
No, Anthony Richardson.
He got hurt. He was killing it.
He was not killing it. He was
pretty good.
He wasn't doing as much. I think you might be looking at it a little bit differently.
He wasn't killing it, CK, but the highs were higher than what Bryce was able to do.
And guess what? He had the number 2 offensive line in the entire NFL.
I hear you, but you have the size, you have the strength.
Right. But what I'm saying is
all those things compounded with him being so small.
Let's also talk about, like I said, I'm fine with the CJ Stroud aspect of it. There's an argument to be said that CJ Stroud, like we've had this argument ad nauseum, whether he would be able to perform at the same level that he did here in Carolina. He wouldn't have, period. I don't think there's a single person on this planet that would be able to argue that. But the AR aspect of it, AR is absolutely going to be number 3 in that regard. Maybe even number 4 behind wheel. No, listen to this. Anthony Richardson has had more injury history his entire career through high school, college, and now his first season in the NFL. He only played 3 games. So you're taking that into consideration. So when you think about it from that perspective, every other quarterback that was drafted was more available than he was. So availability is your biggest asset as a quarterback. And one of the things we know, how many games did Cam miss in his first season? And we would have compared him to Cam Newton. Cam Newton was a mutant. He didn't have those injury issues. Even when he did, he played through them. Anthony Richardson was not able to. I'm saying that the way that Anthony Richardson plays is going to shorten his career immensely. So he should not have been taken number 2, period.
But okay, do you see how it's a conversation though? Because you're saying that, okay, well, Bryce was available, but Colts fans might say that in those games that Anthony Richardson did play, that he gave them a shot to win, and he did lead them to more victories than Bryce Young did. It's at least a conversation, and I think that's fair. Bryce lasted the whole season and didn't get hurt, which is what everyone said would happen to the little quarterback. But, I mean, Anthony did show some big-time highs here. I
got a question about this. Is when did Richardson get hurt?
He got hurt 2 times. He got hurt in his second game.
Okay, because Gardner Minshew still had 171 yards passing in that game. They had a win there.
Right, and that was Gardner Minshew winning that.
And then he missed a week. Then he comes back. So did Anthony Richardson not have any wins either?
He was 2-2 technically, but 2 of those wins were with other quarterbacks coming in and starting.
Right. Okay, I mean, I'll say, look, that's fair, is that I think you saw the excitement factor. Look, I wanted Anthony Richardson because of the Cam Newton factor. You didn't see a lot from Bryce that was just memorable. You saw him survive. That was memorable. If you're not invested like a Panthers fan,
Right.
I don't think you saw anything last year though that would put him head and shoulders above Anthony Richardson. Hey.
I would say, yeah. I mean, if you look at his statistics, outside of the 1 interception to 3 touchdowns, which isn't a great record, a number of touchdowns for 4 games. If you look at his average yards per game, it's lower than Bryce's. His average touchdowns per game is lower than Bryce's.
He was running though.
Yeah, I mean, he had 7 touchdowns in total in 4 games. So, I mean, it wasn't like he was scoring 3 touchdowns a game in those electrifying games that he played in, right? That's when you think about, he had the best out of any rookie quarterback. He had the best offensive line. Arguably, at the beginning of the year, you would have argued that he had the best receiving core than any other rookie quarterback had. And that's what we got. It wasn't like it was a crazy, number or anything along those lines. I would say at this point in time, if I'm being honest with you, I would have taken Anthony or Will Levis before Anthony Richardson.
Ooh, that might be fair. And you could almost say Will Levis had more success last year than.
But also, can I just? I wanted to push back on this. And look, man, I'm not trying to shit on Bryce. I've said before, we all want Bryce to be successful. We all want Panther W's. That's the only thing that matters. But we do this thing where it's like, oh, CJ wouldn't have been good on the Panthers because the Panthers were terrible. So therefore, CJ would have looked just as bad as Bryce. That to me, that's like saying, oh, well, the Tinkerbell would fly faster than the Easter Bunny if she had Santa's sleigh. Like, what are we doing here?
But you can't do
no.
I can
Cody,
also say, you can't do that.
No.
Can we stay focused on the Cam part?
No. I want to say this, though. You can't say to me that you couldn't guarantee that even if it wouldn't have been incredible like it was for the Texans, that CJ at least wouldn't have been better than Bryce was on this team. Oh, okay, but I can say that just as easy as it is for you to say that CJ would have sucked, I could just as easily said, fine, he still could have been better than Bryce and have done better than what Bryce did.
Nobody knows that. But what we can say is that not a single one of these quarterbacks would have gotten us 5 more wins than what we had.
Yeah. I mean, we're not, but let's stay focused on what Cam said. My question would be this is one, first, I don't see anything that's controversial about this, is that we do redrafts every year. Right? Like you go back at the end of the year, you see how players played. And then when they're on good teams, they're always redrafted higher. If the 2015 Panthers rookie class, when they did the redraft after the 15-1 season, like they had 4 players as number 1 draft picks that were out of that draft. And then all of those players sucked 4 years later. I don't think there's anything controversial about this. Is that CJ? The thing about when you're drafting is you're projecting. You're trying to hope for something, and when it doesn't work out, you're trying to explain why it didn't work out, right? And so, with Bryce, we projected that he was a better, safer pick than CJ Stroud, and that didn't turn out to be the case. Or a lot of people did, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people, but the Panthers did ultimately by picking them. And that didn't turn out to be the case, right? And then on top of that, CJ has become so adored by fans. Like he's poised, like he's great in the media. He's great with the team. All of these things. And we saw this even when he was on that podcast, the Pivot?
Yeah, the Pivot.
And do you remember how I was saying, gosh, this guy is so I'm surprised he's well-spoken. But I was just saying he was put together.
But he seems like the homie. It seems like you would want to hang out with CJ Stroud. If you went out on a night on the town, bro, I want to hang out with CJ Stroud.
No, I want to hang out with James Winston. That's the only person I want to hang out with. Did you see him interview a fish?
No,
he was out fishing and he interviewed the fish. It was so corny. I loved it.
Sunday conversation with Caleb Presley from Barstool?
Oh,
it's the best.
Jameis Winston?
Yeah, he interviewed
yeah.
James Winston.
I think
But
I might have
Caleb
seen
Presley-
parts of it. So I don't
Caleb
think this
Presley's
is controversial, but my last, and we'll finish this out and we won't talk anymore about it, is why do you think it makes Panther fans so upset that he did this, that he said
Because
this?
for a lot of Panther fans, Bryce doesn't have to do anything to earn their trust and respect. He's the guy. For a lot of Panther fans, you must sink all your belief in Bryce or else you're a bad Panther fan. Like YB Jordan. YB Jordan hates it when I keep it real about Bryce, and that's cool. But my thing is, if we're being realistic about what we saw last year, how bad things were, and on top of the fact that he's an undersized quarterback with less than average arm talent, and you traded up to get him, like it's okay for us to set a standard and to be able to say out loud that he has not yet lived up to that standard and lived up to that expectation.
Do you think that some of it
to say?
Do you think some of it has because people feel like he should have an allegiance to the Panthers?
That's about 50% of it, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think the other 50% of it is that I think people feel like he's doing the revisionist history because he
was talking well about Bryce a little bit before.
Well, but during that whole process last year, he said that Bryce was the number 1 overall pick. Like that was his opinion about Bryce.
Yeah.
The difference here is that, and this is where I think people need to kind of cool it off a little bit on Cam Newton, is everybody can have their own opinion. Him saying that Bryce Young wasn't the guy that he thought he was doesn't make, Cam Newton the bad guy.
Or maybe that Stroud was better than we expected, right?
Stroud
he is talking
than,
the looking back, right?
Right, exactly.
This isn't
if
right
we had
here.
to redraft, he would be number 1, is what he said, right? I think the other part of this that is making Panthers fans upset is we already get shit on all the time. And we would hope that Cam Newton isn't going to be one of those people just adding to that list of people shitting on the team and not taking into consideration.
We should have treated him better.
Right. And to not have him mention all of the things that led to Cam Newton or to Bryce Young having that type of a season. That part, I think, is worthy of a conversation. And people were talking about, he even mentioned the Houston Texans. They were a bad team. They were. But they
turned out to be a good team. This shows you
a great team.
Yeah, this shows you when we go back to that strength of schedule thing I was talking about, is that's all just based on last year's results.
Right.
Yeah, but look,
We all looked at Houston as terrible because they were bad the year before, because they were going in with a new coach.
They were.
But it's a new year, it's a new phase. Like that's why the Carolina Panthers don't necessarily have to be bad this year.
No, but like this is what I have a problem with, man. Like again, Jordan, I'm not trying to single you out, bro. But like now that Cam Newton dared to keep it real and not just placate the Twitter divas online about Bryce, like now that Cam kept it real, now you have Panther fans going back and saying some shit like this, like, oh, you had 3 good seasons and you was mainly just a fullback. Like, bro, this quarterback that we have under center right now has not done a damn thing for the Carolina Panthers, and that half the fan base is wanting to throw themselves off a cliff on a hope and a prayer like this guy's the answer. We've done this 5 years in a row, making ourselves believe that this is the year we finally have enough. This is it, just to get slapped in the fucking face. So forgive me for not throwing all of my belief and support headlong into Bryce Young, because I haven't seen enough. And when I do see enough, I'll say it and say that Bryce proved me wrong. But until then, no one gets a free pass anymore, man. 5 seasons of losing, no one gets a free pass. And I'm damn sure not going to degrade Cam Newton for Bryce Young. Bryce Young has not earned it. He hasn't earned it. Cut and fucking dry, man.
I mean, look, is nobody in the NFL is not guaranteed for anyone. And man, it shows you how difficult it is to get all this right. Bryce, look, I hope Bryce Young improves a lot with a new regime and Dave Canales and a lot of the weapons. And you know what is, I think Dan Morgan, we've said this in the past before, is that Dan Morgan was there when they drafted Bryce Young and is remembers why they selected him, and now invested around him instead of that not for long league where what have you done for me lately in 1 year? Bryce didn't do great, and now it's time to abandon ship. So Dan Morgan is investing in him, and they need to. So excited. I'm excited for look, we need Bryce Young to succeed.
We have to have it.
If it doesn't,
whether you like him or not, whether
Yeah.
you like him or not, or whether you hate him because other people love him, or that people have their belief that he can be the guy, you've got to hope that he's able to be the guy.
This
if you're
needs
hoping
to be
that he's
the
not,
Bryce Young Stan podcast at the end of next year.
absolutely, it needs to be. Otherwise, we're going to be going down as in the history as the worst franchise on the planet in the entire NFL, possibly any professional league, and the worst trade of all time. Like, there's no two ways about it. That would be the worst trade of all time.
God, man.
In hindsight,
it's looking like the worst trade of all time. By the way,
Oh God.
hold on. Let me
now.
just say, y'all better pray that Caleb Williams is as trash as everybody hopes that he is. Because if he actually turns it on, then it's not just going to be that the Panthers passed on CJ Stroud for Bryce Young. It's going to be CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams, because we had that number 1 pick. That was our number 1 pick. So, yeah, there's a lot on the line for Bryce Young this year. And I'm sorry, if we don't see like a legitimate step forward, I'm talking a real step forward, some signs of life, I don't want to hear about no year 3 shit. I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to hear about no year 3 shit. I tell you one thing
is I see, as I'm watching the Bears, and they're putting they put a pick out that said aura and I had Caleb Williams up there. I just remember how we felt when we drafted Bryce number 1, and we were like, the brilliance, the this and that. Look, who knows what's going to happen with Caleb Williams. I get really irritated. I hate, and speaking of, we saw Leggett on the first day of rookie mini camps catch that ball, twist in the air, and turn it upfield. And people are like, oh, I'm so fucking
we see that every year, dude.
Yeah, but I looked at Caleb. They were like, the Bears fans were talking about this. Look at Caleb Williams. And he threw like a wide receiver screen. And it was just like, oh, yeah. Look, I went on the radio. This was on Friday that we opened up rookie mini camps. And yeah,
Right.
So we opened up rookie mini camps on Friday, and I went on Pirate Radio, PRL Live. You can check me out at 4:00 there. They're on YouTube live, PRL Live, every 4:00 they have a show every day, but at 4:00 on Fridays we talk NFL. And he's asking me about the stuff that I saw. Like, he's like, what'd you see today? And I was like, I saw football-looking men doing football-looking things with nobody around them. We can gush and gaw over all of this, which is fine. I'm hoping. I want these guys to just, all of them, to be awesome. But you look through Twitter and every fan base is like, oh, that same clip. Oh.
Yeah, everybody's excited. Everybody wants to be excited about their team's prospects, man. And Xavier Leggett did, Again, you say look good. He looked good in one sock. Okay, the man is built like a shit brick.
Yeah, these are all football players. They all look like this, except for the one we got.
Somewhat, yeah, right. Except our quarterback. Yeah, some more than others.
We also got to remember how many highlights we were seeing of DJ Chark last year before the season started as well.
Dude,
let's dial it back a minute. I'm all for Xavier Leggett being able to be the guy, but we've got to Cody's point, nobody's getting a freebie. Like, we can't take these slow motion videos that the social media team's throwing out there and being like, oh my God, this guy. Oh,
there's nobody defending them. They don't have pads on.
Think about this. Brian Burns last year in the training camp, we were all like, oh my gosh, did you see Aaron Rodgers talking about, can somebody block that guy, please? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Brian Burns is going to have 32 sacks. And then, look, as the more I've been doing this podcasting and following the NFL, you guys talk about me hating the NFL draft. It's really just because I've gotten to this point where it's like, it's so much time and energy on things that are ridiculous until they're not. And yeah, I guess it's fun for people to stake a claim. I like people that have the guts, and this is why Cody's real popular on this show among the listeners, is he has the guts to take a position, right? And it's not always just a negative one, right? It actually takes more guts to say this person will be good than it takes guts to say there will be trash, right? But even last year with that DJ Chark crap, that shit got me. You guys heard me when we were at training camp. I was like, oh, this motherfucker could be a number one.
We all thought so,
God, this motherfucker. Mad about DJ. I hate. And you know what? He really didn't do anything to me. He's not a mean dude. I dislike him.
But you know what it is? We got the worst version of DJ Chark.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked at him at other spots,
he was better when he was hurt with other teams.
Dude, DJ has been good for other teams. So it's so disappointing that it all just went to shit when it came here. But again, Tony, that's like leading into my point that there's no more grace period. Like, we do this shit where we fluff up all these guys during training camp and, but before the start of the season, and we're all excited and we're all trying to be optimistic. And Lord knows I have fallen victim to the same bullshit. I'm just not doing it this year. I'm not doing it. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad Panther fan. It doesn't mean that I'm.
Or you could just have realistic expectations. You know what? Leggett could have a great rookie season. He could have an okay rookie season. He could have a bad rookie season. And that's not his entirety of his career all there, right? It's not one thing. You're not just one thing. And this is wild. Like, when we look back, as I'm a historian by trade, you look back at people in the past and you sum their life up to a single event in their life. It's like Thomas Jefferson. First, I'm not a Thomas Jefferson lover. It's just like we pick favorites in the past, like everybody. I
share a birthday with George Washington,
right? So. But like, you pick something in their life, then you go, this person was a piece of shit. He was Sally Hemings, piece. But like, would you hold your own life to the standards of a single moment? Or a single action or a single thing. So
nope,
look, it's like, and that's why I'm still okay with Jonathan Mingo here. Like, I think I'm like the nicest person, the nicest Mingo fan or Carolina Panther to Jonathan Mingo. Just because he didn't have a great rookie season doesn't mean that his career's over, doesn't mean that he's terrible, doesn't mean that he can't get better. I'm rooting for Jonathan Mingo. I'm rooting for Bryce Young. They're not one thing. So Bryce Young is not only his rookie season. CJ Stroud is not only his rookie season. If CJ Stroud dissipates and falls apart, gets hurt, or doesn't play well, and the team and Bryce Young goes on to win a Super Bowl, nobody's going to remember that rookie year anymore.
Jordan, if Cam Newton is Giovanni Ricci with an arm, Bryce Young is Kyle Allen with no arm. So shut that shit up, bro.
Who said something about Cam Newton? Now, this is actually. I want to say this about the fans. I do want to say this is one of the things.
Kyle Allen ass quarterback.
I went to bat for Cam Newton like some of these guys go to bat for Bryce Young, right? I used to say I'm sharpening my Twitter sword today, and I would go out there and defend him, right? Because there was unworthy criticism, right? It wasn't that you had to be praising him. It wasn't that you were criticizing him. It was that the extreme criticism, like based and rooted in fiction. Look, Cam Newton did more in his first game as a rookie than arguably Bryce did all last season.
Yeah, Bryce did the whole fucking season.
I mean, I hate, and I'm not trying to trash him. What I'm just saying is we need to, as Panther fans, when we had Cam Newton, a lot of people didn't appreciate him. Now, you don't got to say he's perfect. You didn't have to say, and look, and really, Cam Newton is one of the saddest football stories or sports stories to me still. It's like up there with Bo Jackson, right? It's like Bo Jackson got that hip injury and he was going to be the greatest football player of all time, arguably. Like he was on pace, and Cam was on a rocket ship trajectory.
Yeah.
And I kept saying this if you can go back and check the tape on the podcast, is when he went through the shoulder surgery, then we came back. I think it was it 2017 when Norv got him and we were doing great. And then he got the shoulder in the Pittsburgh game. And that was, it was the thing with Cam Newton was always going to be, was he going to be able to progress into the next era of his career? And he was doing it if it wasn't for that injury. If it wasn't but he didn't ultimately, right? I'm just saying him and North Turner were on the verge of doing just that up until that Philadelphia game where he had the highest completion percentage of his career. If you want to be one of the greats of any sport, you got to be like Madonna. And you got to reinvent yourself. You know what I'm saying? Is Madonna has been ahead of the music curve her entire life. And she's like 65 and still ahead of it. She's like 3 years ahead of everybody else. But you have to evolve. You have to adapt. So Cam Newton wasn't going to be able to play his same game that he played in 2015 and 2024. If you want to be the greatest of greats. But look, I told you this when the first time we ever met in person, Cody. Yeah. We were playing a good team. I think we were playing the Rams. The Rams at home to open the season. Yeah, and we were total underdogs. And I just said, with Cam, I feel like we got a chance. Yeah. Any game. And so, people could talk about his accuracy. People could talk about his footwork. They could talk about his, not being the best at reading defenses or stuff. But there were so many pluses about Cam, right? There were so many positives. And to be honest, I think the only way David Tepper, in my mind, is going to be able to save his image is to bring Cam Newton back into the fold somehow. Give him a statue. Give him a microphone. God, that makes people so mad. But anyway. How about this? If I would have never in my life, I lived through the contentious Cam Newton years. I lived through the contentious. There were moments where people were talking about benching Cam for Derek Anderson. And I just wanted to reach through my computer screen and smack the shit out of him. Me and you went to war, man. We were known as me and you are like the original. I'm a cam sexual, people call it. We are the OG cam sexuals, bro. And that didn't change overnight. If y'all want me to be a bisexual, well, that motherfucker better get sexy real goddamn quick, okay? Because right now I ain't shit sexy about it. I just was. And by the way, but real quick, people continue to bring up the Matt Corral shit. And bro, y'all sound so dumb the more time goes on. One, I never wanted Matt Corral to be the number one pick overall to the Panthers that we traded up for. And number two, I would have given Matt Corral and Andy Dalton a shot for one fucking year with DJ Moore. Well, we did keep talking about that instead. We were. And we would have had a high draft pick this year to draft a quarterback this year. So we're not going to deal in hypotheticals. Got you argument, man. The only thing I wanted to finish on was if you would have asked me in 2020, would there ever be a more contentious quarterback than Cam Newton? You'd say never. Carolina no fucking never way. In your fucking life would you imagine. Then to have the most clean cut, spoken, like all of this. A Boy Scout. Yeah, and then this guy be more divisive than Cam. I'm here for it. Bro, I'm fucking here for it. It's absurd, bro. It's absurd. Right. My last thing about Cam Newton, if you want to say that Steve Smith and Julius Peppers were better, that's fine. What I'm here to tell you is that Carolina sports in general have never had a superstar. Cam Newton's the first superstar. He's the first superstar, like where he was known like bigger than just a quarterback. And what he got a lot of shit for when he came into the league is he said he wanted to be an icon.
He got
You
a lot
know,
of shit
and
to
people
that,
were like,
too.
and Peter King was like, why don't you fucking start learning play football first? And he become out.
Yeah.
But he was our first superstar, right? I think Steve Smith, Julius Peppers, they were our first stars, right? Like the stars on the field. But a superstar is when you're walking down the street and motherfuckers are like, oh shit, dab on him, Cam, dab on,
Right. Cam Newton had the whole fucking country dabbing, and I don't want to hear about those damn Migos, bro. The Migos didn't make that shit hot.
He made them. Aren't they Atlanta group? Aren't they Atlanta group?
Man.
Cam Newton got style, dude. I know people like to make fun of him, but he has been ahead of some shit too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's stuck.
Yes.
I would like to see and I would love to see somehow. How do we get Cam Newton involved with the team somehow? You know,
now that Cam Newton is openly saying, "Nah, I don't think they should have taken Bryce." He also talked about wanting
that'll
to
be a few years from now.
Yeah. I know. I kind of think that ship has sailed. I think this is where Cam lives
for like
now.
an honorary day to support like legends or something.
Yeah, but the damn sure better. They better induct him in the Hall of Honor. That's easy.
Yeah.
I'm with it, man.
I'm saying, like, put him on the radio broadcast by Big Jordan or something. Put him a small role, right? Right. They did with Steve Smith. Preseason only. Bring him in there.
Like, let Bryce Young earn your love. That doesn't make you a bad fan to say I want to see it first. That doesn't make you a bad fan. I want to see that shit, Jordan. I want to see that shit, Matt Morrison. So I know C-Dog wants to see that shit. And by the way, I'm not even saying like C-Dog that Bryce can't be successful. I've never said that. I have never said that.
CK, let me ask you this. Maybe don't feel this way. Has there been a player? There was a time I remember players where I was like, as soon as they were drafted, I was like, this motherfucker gonna be awesome. Like I had this optimistic, positive, right? And then I had that feeling about a player and they didn't become that. And then that has stopped me from doing that since, right? So what I guess the way I'm trying to put this is, for me, it was Shaq Thompson. I thought Shaq Thompson was going to be the superstar of superstars. And he went on to be okay, right? So now what that has caused me to do, it's like I've got a broken heart. You know what? It's like when you have a broken, you don't love, it's hard to love again. Right. But that's how I was with Cam. When we drafted Cam, I was like, oh, go, you know, like, is there a player that either did that for you or stopped you from doing that? And Cody, I mean, is there a player? I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I feel like a lot of people, and I can't be like that because I was like, oh, I want Leonard Fournette.
I think
that's what
most
I said.
Panthers fans wanted Leonard Fournette. We just knew he wasn't in our range. He was going to go too early.
Christian McCaffrey turned out to be fucking incredible.
I think Christian McCaffrey is one of those. I think he's one of those that are like, we draft him, we're hopeful, but we're kind of like, he's not going to be a superstar. He's going to be an all right back, but then dude turns out to be Christian McCaffrey, right?
Arguably the best running back in Panther history,
right?
I mean, at least temporarily. I mean, for a season. I'm trying to think of, you could say Stephen Davis had a season like that. Jonathan, man, look, we had two good running backs in D'Angelo. You know who I liked a lot? I love D'Angelo Williams when we drafted him.
Yeah,
because I saw him play when he was in Memphis.
I'll be honest with you. Mine, I can't remember any studs that I was super excited about in the history. I'll tell you recently. But, you know, the reason I say that is because Marty Hurney was so good in the first round that it was so difficult to be able to do that. You could point to when David Gettleman was here, but he had some good draft picks that worked out really
Butler
well.
Fucked us all up.
Yeah, but that was a late. Like, we weren't excited about that. We were
even
31st.
Kelvin Benjamin. You could even say that with.
But do you remember even Vernon Butler, when we drafted him, we hadn't signed K'Wan Short to his new deal yet. So we drafted Vernon Butler. Yeah, it was like an insurance policy. If we weren't able to sign him, that way we'd be able to put him next to Star. Yeah, I mean,
okay. Maybe it's a tough question. I just know
I'll tell you the one that's done it for me recently.
All right,
Ike Ekwonu.
That's fair. I think I that might have redone it to me.
In what way? Ask me the question again. Tom.
So there was a time in my life when the people that are gushing over Leggett right now, and he's like, oh, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame, right? Where I was more comfortable being like that about a player until there was a player like that burnt me. Right. And for me, it was Shaq Thompson. I know people are going to be like, you're an asshole because he was pretty good late on. I was thinking Shaq. I was like this. I was betting that Shaq was going to be this new fucking, this different type of football player. So now I've put up a guard of myself. And I think CK, that's a great answer with Icky because we all wanted that solution so much. Yeah. And now the second year was so bad. We're like, oh God.
Mine's Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah. You were hype. Were you hype about him?
Yeah. Initially,
I wasn't. I fucking hated it.
Initially, what I thought was, again, it's like the opposite of Jonathan Mingo. That first season of Kelvin Benjamin, like, okay, this dude went for 1,000. Like, this dude has the potential to really be a big time downfield threat. Like we thought at the time that Kelvin Benjamin could have been our own version of Mike Evans. That's what we were going to be getting.
Yeah, people were making fun of me. People were messaging me all throughout the season saying, Tony, you said this was a bad pick, right? Like here's 1,000,
they were shoving it in your face.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, keep in mind that was the same year Mike Evans was drafted too. So like they were always going to be compared to one another. And the reason that Kelvin Benjamin doesn't qualify for that for me is because if you were hype about Kelvin Benjamin, he was that superstar in his rookie year. He wasn't hype
about him. But Icky was though, sort of.
Yeah, we were hype about. Well, no,
he played well after those first two games. He really played well. Actually, after the end of the first season, I'm sitting there going, man. And I'm still not done with Icky, but cautious.
Yeah, I mean, I would maybe even go to Greg Little. Like it was like I know he wasn't a high draft pick, but it was high enough to where we were like, I really think he could protect Cam. Like I was like, all right, maybe this is the guy that's going to be able to cover that blind side because we had been having that issue at the left tackle for a while. And I was hopeful, man. I liked the guy. I liked his interviews. But one of the things that I think Cody was talking about, he didn't have that like what you want, dog in him to be in that position because you got to be and that's where Icky came in and he was supposed to have that dog. And it feels like he just gets dogged all the time.
Yeah. To me, it feels like Icky has two left feet. He just can't get his feet underneath him. He's not nimble enough.
I think he just needs
to play left tackle.
I think he could benefit from a reset. I think some of it was mental. A lot of it was mental last year and starting to get in his own head. But here's a kind of a challenge for a bored ass C3 fan one day is to go back and watch. You don't have to watch the whole draft show, but go watch the draft show since we've been doing them and just fast forward to the Panthers pick. Has Tony ever been happy? I don't think I've been happy anytime, dude. I remember Kelvin Benjamin, my first one. JC Horn when I wanted Justin Fields. Like every single, maybe the Icky was the last time I was like, yeah. I wonder what the last draft pick. Well, like even with Bryce, I was a Stroud fan for most of the time. And I'm not a guy. I wasn't invested. And then at the last moment, I became an Anthony Richardson fan.
Dude, I have literally not been hyped about the Panthers draft pick since probably 2015 when we drafted. No, was it 16? When did we draft Benjamin? 14?
14.
Yeah, 14.
And I didn't want him. I wanted Bradley Roby. That was my draft crush.
Yeah, so I mean,
a nickel corner gonna change your team.
I
anyway,
it,
all right.
It hasn't been exciting for.
Well, say it is like it's kind of like once you've been a broken heart, it's hard to just invest. That's my point. Is this
hurt me once, shame on you. Hurt me twice, shame on me.
I just felt like it was really a lot easier. I just remember that moment of Cam Newton being drafted. And it has so much to do. There's so many other things that go into it, right? It's not just who it is, when there's other factors. And for me, I was going to see, I believe I was there for a Panthers game, and Cam Newton was playing like either in the national championship or something like that, and I saw him fucking beat the brakes off of like Alabama or some. I can't remember. It was so long. I could go find the date. Go look
came
it
from behind.
Yeah, but I was just
Alabama in the second quarter.
I was at the dueling the piano bar at that used to have at the, what is it? It's not a thing anymore, I don't think. Is the
dueling piano?
Yeah, but it was they had, what's that where Greg Hardy got in a fight with his girlfriend. It's in downtown. It used to be in downtown Charlotte. It's kind of near the basketball stadium, and there was just a bunch of bars. Like they had the whiskey bar.
The Uptown Cabaret.
No, that's the strip club. You silly goose.
I thought that's where he.
No, there was like a complex that had a bunch of bars that was like 3 stories high, and it was called the Met. Come on, Charlotte people, help me out. I don't think it exists anymore. But I was at they had this piano bar where these people did dueling pianos, and they could do any covers. Like it was just the best night. Like I was having a great time. I was actually at Buffalo Wild Wings, owned by Masin Muhammad at that moment. The Buffalo Wild Wings was there. That whatever that building is, what was that shit called, guys? And supposedly Greg Hardy, Howl at the Moon is the name of the bar. Yes. That's the name of the bar. What's the Epicenter? Yes, thank you, Tim Estes, the Epicenter. And that's actually where Greg Hardy, he was at the Epicenter when the genesis of his fight with that girl started. And I don't know if you guys remember that the fight, or the rumor was that the genesis of that fight started as a Nelly song came on, and she had fucked Nelly. And that's like where their drunken fight had begun and carried on into the thing that ruined Greg Hardy's career and life. Well, I don't know. Anyway, the Epicenter is what I was looking for. Speaking of past Panthers and draft picks, and one that you would have also redrafted in the first round had you after their first season, he signed a basketball contract. Devin Funchess becomes first NFL player to sign a professional basketball contract. This is bananas. The first. I'm surprised a little bit about that. Julius Peppers could have played pro basketball. Yeah. Wouldn't have been a superstar like he was in the NFL. Remember Devin Funchess? He could dunk like a mug back in the day. Devin Funchess.
If you could choose, you're coming out of college and you have the option to go into the NBA or the NFL, what's your choice?
I think it would be what range of player I am. Right. And if I'm a top player, like a first round draft pick, I'm going NBA.
Yeah.
They have fully guaranteed contracts. The lifespan is better. The problem with the NBA is their rosters are real small.
And you play a lot of games.
But you have to be the best of the fucking best of the best to be in back. You think of how hard it is already to make an NFL roster.
You got to keep in mind, they have a similar to the minor leagues, right?
They got the G League.
What Devin Funchess is going into.
Yeah, don't count that. I don't count that unless you're going into the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm probably pulling the NFL because it's just hard, man. The NBA and the length of their careers are long in the NBA. It's just not a lot. It's hard to break through the ceiling, I think, in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think you could be an
guaranteed contracts. You have, you have a lot of games, but you do have longevity.
And they're not the same as playing a football game.
Right.
Right. There's a reason they can play 4 games in a week.
I mean, it's an hour. Yeah. Right. It's like an hour long instead of a 3 hour.
Yeah. And they're not doing what football players have to endure.
Right.
But I just don't think. I think it would probably be easier to be a mid-level nobody player who somehow finds success in the NFL than it would be to be a mid-level nobody player to find success in the NBA.
What country did you go to? Where does this country? It was like a South American country, right?
Ooh, I don't know.
The professional team. Yeah,
They've
isn't it
got
like
a lot of salad there.
Oh yeah. Well, if Devin Funchess is going there, it's obvious they've got a lot of salad.
Or Devin, but you know, after
it is
he
weird
had
though.
1,000-yard season, I think, his rookie year.
Dude, he was. I mean, other than Ted Ginn, he was damn near a wide receiver one option in 2015.
Oh, he had a great rookie year. He just mentally fell apart. You know what?
Dude, and you know what, man? On the play where Cam, I had to bring it up in the Super Bowl when Cam got strip sacked and the whole fumble thing happened.
Yeah.
On that play, Cam has talked about it before too. He had Devin Funchess streaming wide open.
Like if he just had a quarter second.
If he had a quarter second, it would have been a 65-yard play.
I think you could almost find a moment where Devin Funch's career ended. And it was his going home game in Detroit where he had 15 family members and then he dropped like 7 passes.
It was on Amazon Prime show on the show too. And he was so frustrated that he was yelling at Cam Newton in the huddle. Like they were trying to get Funchess to get his shit together. And Funk was like, I know. He was like fucking cussing him out and shit. Dude, he was so mad. But he had like
funny because the year before he blew it up in Detroit.
Yeah, but he had like 5 drop passes.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Carry on. I gotta Google something for my daughter for her homework real quick. Let's go to the next topic, please.
Do we have any calls? You want to do some calls?
Yeah, I do. Gabby, it looks like that. That's the one.
I'll go ahead and cut the calls.
Yeah, go ahead and cue it in. I'm ready.
Yeah, man. Get into the cat calls. Have your voice be heard. The number is 252-228-5098. Let's jump into it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use
one? Charlotte today.
C-Dog 1983 TV in the building real
Y'all hear
quick, man. But whenever you come in here, man, make sure you hit the fucking like button. Make sure you subscribe to the great content. These boys got them go live every Tuesday. They go live every goddamn and they got the free fall on Friday. During the football season, you know, they got the live before the game and after the game. You know, Saturday they had a game simulation and everything. Bad game simulation. But just make sure you come in here to show love, man, to the longest running Panthers podcast and YouTube history, the C3 Podcast. Come on,
appreciate
man.
You,
come in here, make sure you hit the like button, man. The boys been putting in work, you know, for a long time. But real quick, man, I'm loving this show, man. Cody goddamn been talking this shit all goddamn night.
Appreciate you, bro.
You know, about this little bitty motherfucker, you know. Like, man, it's so crazy, man. I want to talk about Cam Newton, man. Like, man, Bryce Young, like, he had so far to go to even, like, man, I don't even know, man. Like, what y'all see? I don't really know what y'all see in this dude, man. He didn't even throw for 3,000 yards last year. Didn't complete not one deep ball last season. Like, he basically, if he doesn't come out this year and do anything, he out of here, man. And we go get us another quarterback. We quarterback ready now, you know, with the moves that them damn Morgan done made. So they already showing y'all, man, Bryce Young on a short leash, you know. But I just want to come in here and just show some love real quick, man. Whenever you come in here, hit the like button, man. Make sure you subscribe to the goddamn great content. Like I said, it was live every Tuesday, you know. And they got the free for all every Friday. Then during the season, you know, they live before and after the game. And they got the game simulation, the Madden simulation on Saturday and everything. You know. And man, we need to got that subscriber shame or something in this motherfucker. I don't know what the fuck going on, man. But man, I hope everybody have a great rest of the week. I hope I'll see everybody Friday. C-Dog 1983 TV out, man.
Heilige sind scheiße.
C-Dog, appreciate you, brother. Hey, man, dude, look, C-Dog has been, bro, he's been pounding that drum that Bryce Young ain't it louder than anybody for a long time, man. So, again, bro, I don't even go as far as C-Dog, man. As C-Dog goes, I'm just saying, I'm going to let Bryce earn my fandom before I anoint him the future at the Panthers quarterback position. I don't think that's unreasonable. And I'm certainly going to wait to do that before I throw Cam Newton under the bus, like some people in the chat. Bro, y'all are wild to me. I swear to you, man.
All right, let's take another call.
Bosses Los C3. Break out the Hefeweizen and Wiener Schnitzel. We're going to Germany.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that game. I love watching the European fans, their excitement in the game. And I think it's going to be a killer one to watch. Really looking forward to this season. I don't have high expectations, but they are higher than they were. I don't know what it is. Every time I hear Dan freaking talk, or Dave, I'm sorry, not Dan, but Dave talk, I get excited. And his energy is infectious. And I really think that the guys are going to get behind him where, you know, Frank Reich and the piece of crap before him, you know, wasn't a leader of men. The guys didn't have anything invested in their scheme. So, real looking forward to it. My biggest thing to celebrate the Germany freaking trip, I really hope we're far from pooping. So, you guys take care. Keep pounding. See you on the flip side.
Right on. Thank you for the call. Yeah, we're excited about that. Break out the sauerkraut. Are you a sauerkraut fan?
Yeah, man, I love it on a Reuben.
Oh, totally.
Like
yeah,
sauerkraut on a Reuben.
That.
Yeah,
CK is the picky eater of the group.
I am a picky eater. That doesn't
he
sound
will not mess with no fermented cabbage, bro.
Yeah, that doesn't sound appealing in the slightest to me.
Yeah, that's a New Yorker thing on a hot dog, dude. You know, is you gotta get the sour, you gotta put the kraut on the dog.
No, thank you.
I like it. It's one of those things. It's you don't like it as a kid. Well, and this is wild, but like I came from a sort of peasant family when it came, especially early on, where money was tight and I mean always provided for. But my mom would make tuna fish sandwiches for me for lunch, and I'd be the kid that'd be unwrapping this tuna fish sandwich soggy because she ain't drain, you know, drain it, you know what I'm saying? You know, and now I love a fucking tuna fish sandwich though. You know, when I was a kid, I was like, oh,
dude, have you heard this story? Have you heard this story about Robert Kennedy Jr. that's been going around recently?
What is it? I want to hear it because I got some more political talk that's related to football that we're going to talk about.
No, it's not even political. Robert Kennedy Jr. is from the Kennedy family. He's running, I believe, as an independent for president this year. He said that he had a brain worm that ate part of his brain and it died inside of his brain. And
man, that's not unheard of.
And he got it from eating so many tuna fish sandwiches as a 20-something-year-old. That's what he said. This is what he's saying now.
Well, I don't know how he could track how he got it, but like, look,
he was traveling to other countries like Egypt and stuff a lot during that time.
Man, there are parasites in fucking fish and shit out there. And there's some weird, don't go onto that YouTube wormhole of like, you could probably take a parasitic drug, all of us, You know what I'm saying? And like shit out some tapeworm or some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you probably.
The one video I watched said that they can go up to be 8 feet long inside your
Oh,
body.
I know. I mean, there's weird crap. You see people pulling stuff. I know it's terrible. Speaking of, since you brought up a political thing, why Big Jordan? He put up here earlier. He said that Cam was a 6'4" trans auntie. That made me think of this. Did you see whose name has been trending around the internet today? Harrison Butker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what? The Chiefs, in order to punish him, they should cut him, and as a punishment, he needs to fucking come back to the Panthers, dude. That's the only fair thing.
The only thing that I am going to say is, and I don't know if it's the pandemic that did this to me. My friend at work jokes that I came back from the pandemic an anti-statist. Right? Like, it's like I'm just anti-establishment more so than ever. Like I'm a teenager again in some ways. I just saw actually. Well, I mean, it's not that I believe those things. It's just that I don't believe these people who are convinced that are telling me they've got the truth all the time. That's more a disbelief. Actually, I just saw a Rand Paul tweet about like how there's evidence that Fauci knew that there was 15,000 samples and 700 of them were coronavirus in Wuhan or whatever. My point being this is with the Harrison Butker thing. And I am very supportive of individuality. What I love about America is individual liberty.
True.
Right? So if you are Catholic like myself, or if you're gay, or if you're whatever you are, you can be that as long as it's not effing with someone else.
Yes.
Right. And I don't know if just because we don't agree, we're not even but just because someone doesn't agree with what Harrison Butker said, doesn't mean that I think he should be censured necessarily for having that, for saying I want math. You know, I just feel like it's always after the pandemic. It's like you're either in the herd or you're not.
Tony, you know what I call it. Tony, you know what I call these fucking crybabies. They're virtue signalers. Yeah. They do this shit for pats on the back so they can go online and make posts and show you how much of a great person they are for standing up to shit on the internet. Meanwhile, they never do shit in their own personal communities to actually better the world of anyone else. And by the way, I'll say this, like, I mean, I didn't hear his entire speech. I don't know what college he was given the commencement.
It was a Catholic school. So first of all, he's speaking to an audience that
probably a lot of
trends
conservatives
towards just trends towards those ideas is like,
but even the
they believe the family is real important. I mean, look, I'm Catholic. I can tell you all about what they believe and why they believe. They don't. So anyway, go ahead.
But even what he was saying just about like masculinity in today's culture being under attack, like the idea of toxic masculinity. Well, no, masculinity isn't toxic. It isn't toxic. Real masculinity is some of the best things that the world has ever given. Like
as we watch football.
Well, but also
as we celebrate football here, if you want to talk, like we're celebrating ultimately the modern day warrior.
Well, I'd like to say it like this, and I heard someone else say it this way. A strong, masculine man, it would never hit a woman because he knows the differences between his own body and another person's body. Like masculinity is meant to protect. And I think that's something that is important in today's world. Point being, if you loved what you said or hate what you said, he shouldn't be demonized and villainized for speaking his own opinion on things.
That's my point here is this. And I think who was it that said this is I think Roger Williams, the old pure guy that got excommunicated from New England Puritan, and who else was one other person that they have like is basically I'll die for the right to us to disagree. I look is it just kind of irritates me. I don't even know if I don't even agree. It doesn't even matter if I agree or not. It was like somebody wrote, "This is why men shouldn't have a mic." Now I was like, oh, whatever. But if anything, I watched the 2-minute clip that popped across on that after that girl's comment. If anything, that should have been that you really could have gone after him at was him talking about originally being an introvert, but now being an entrepreneur in the public speaking. And all he did was read from his speech. Like he would just look down. He wouldn't even look up. Like he's not. So, I mean, the real criticism is like, you're not really good at that yet, bro. We got some practice to do. Or great. Right. But hey, I've done that, man. I speak in front of people all the time.
People were like, now people were doing the shit because they didn't agree with them. It's like, you're a kicker. You're not even a football player. They're not just shitting on them now because it's just the easiest fucking thing to do. It's like, bro,
it's just wild. I think we just everybody's ideas are equal.
I agree,
there are ideas that are bad out there in the world. But I think when we get really scared of of just different ideas, it's more about insecurity of our own ideas in some way. I just was like, say that, whatever. Someone said, oh, the real IP said, it's awesome being a man is so awesome. You need to watch the Little Dicky video. It's a white dude or whatever. And the whole video is a spoof on how he's happy he's not a minority or a woman. And he's like, nobody judges me. People open the door. It's fucking hilariously clever. Check that out. I love some Little Dicky. We do have a little bit more football to talk. Oh, the big thing to talk. Oh, let's take another call. We need to go to Anthony in Charlotte.
We don't have any more slides.
Yeah, we do. We got to talk about the analytics, dude. Well, we don't have to.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday. I'm going to be quick here. Just wanted to call in. Hope y'all boys are doing okay. Schedule getting released tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. So that's cool. We already got one game confirmed by Miss Sheena that we will be playing the Giants in Germany. I'm so happy we weren't going to play like the Chiefs. I'm sorry. That game needs to be played in Charlotte. Patrick Mahomes is only going to come here once every, this is the first time. It's probably once every 8 seasons. So I'm so excited. I'm going to definitely be at that game. And David Tepper's probably salivating too. Like, oh,
you're going to Germany, man?
My own fans, fuck, I'll sell them to 14-year-old Swiftie fans. So, there you have it. As for everything else, man, I'm giving all my thoughts up until this point. I really don't know how to feel about this team, what the record prediction is going to be. I mean, I continue to remain neutral on the matter of fact, but the last thing I really just want to say here is that I'm so sick of these same arguments on Twitter, man, every single day. It's like, let's just wait till the season to hold judgment on Bryce Young. Some tweet came out today about some guy who's mainly a fantasy football content creator. So in that aspect, I think that's where he's coming from when he said this. But he basically said Bryce has a week. He basically made it sound like Bryce can't be an NFL quarterback. And I'm just starting to even wonder. These are still some of the same people that were saying all these great things about him before he came out of college. So I'm just a little confused now why all of a sudden they changed their tone just to go along with the rest of the people to fit a certain narrative. I don't understand it completely. But with all this negative mojo, it's making me even wonder, why was Bryce even a first overall pick if no one expects him to be able to do anything in the NFL? It makes zero sense at all. And everyone's the answer to that is probably like, well, he's a bust. He's a bust. Well, most of the time, a lot of busts in the league have to do with they're just, big armed prospects that don't have any brains in the game, like Zach Wilson, Jamarcus Russell, etc. So, those are my thoughts. I'm just sick of these same old bullshit arguments, man. It's like every day. The fan base, the truth of the matter is the fan base needs a winning season, or they need hope from him, or they need something, because everyone's going at each other's throats. And this is kind of what happens when you've been losing for so long. Everyone becomes delusional. It's like every man for themselves type shit. It's kind of crazy, but I'm sick of arguing that. All I got to say, last thing I'll say is Hornets fans got fucked again. 6th overall pick. The NBA draft lottery is rigged. I've been saying this for years now. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
Dope. Anthony, I don't know if you're listening, but if you said you were going to Germany, dude, that's fucking dope if you do.
For the game?
Yeah, I think he was. At least I thought that's what you said, that he was going to try and go to the Germany game. Look, being drafted number 1 doesn't mean anything. It means you had a lot of talent when you were in college, but it literally doesn't mean anything else.
Put so much pressure on you. Like I've said in the past, is when you're drafted number 1, you're either the awesomest or a bust. There's no in between.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. So much went into getting him here that it absolutely plays a point in that, or it bears minding when you consider your expectations for this year. And that's why I don't mind telling you that mine are higher. You know?
Uh-oh.
What?
Next call is Panther Pickle. And Panther Pickle.
Yeah, he said that he was on one.
He is ready for it.
This is Panther Pickle. I've tried to be nice. I've tried to be patient. But it's been over a year since the Panthers drafted Bryce Young. Crying and moaning and bitching ain't going to fix it. I mean, some of y'all are still crying because they hired Matt Rule. And that's been how many years ago? Y'all got a major issue with get the fuck over it, Buttercup. I mean, y'all just need to pull your big girl panties up and act like a fucking adult. Now, I didn't want Bryce Young. I know several people who didn't want Bryce Young, but he was the pick. So instead of supporting him or just giving him a fair opportunity, you're just going to hate every single move. It's just like you didn't want Dan Morgan, but instead of being happy because he's made some good moves, you're going to find your damnedest to raise hell and bitch about it. Poor little baby Cupcake. The world don't revolve around what the fuck you want. Oh, you didn't draft 2 wide receivers. Well, who give a good fuck? He drafted a tight end, and that's better than any fucking extra fucking wide
I've
fucking
never
receiver.
heard Pickle throw the
Oh,
F-bomb
yeah.
around
Why am I
like
cussing? Because it seems to be the end thing. If you cuss, people pay you fucking more attention that way and actually treat you maybe a little bit better. I don't know. It seems it works that way. That's the only time people pay fucking attention. Motherfucking goddamn. You know, and trying and analytics. You may not like analytics, but they ain't going nowhere. And if you don't like them that fucking bad enough, your ass needs to go on and cheer for the Hornets or some shit, and leave the Panthers alone.
This is also Bleed Over for Friday
to be
show.
a fucking fan. But keep pounding.
All right, he's
because
got
I'm going to.
He's got.
I'm gonna support my team. I don't give a damn if y'all don't like it or not.
He brought up get after it, Pickle. By the way, right now you still might be able to get one because they're about to close down my Stripe account because all this stuff is linked to Joe's name somehow, which it shouldn't be. You can you go to the last slide of the show real quick? Yep. Panther Pickle's got his own gear. With C3.
Oh, what happened to it? It's not. Oh yeah,
there's one more right there. You can get the Panther Pickle, and it is. Let me see. Look, it's number 1 on my soundboard.
Shut the hell up!
Shut the hell up. T-shirt that might be available for like another month until I find out a way for them to say, like, gosh, I don't know why they won't even deal with me. They're like, I need to speak to Joe. I'm like, Joe didn't set this mess up. Number 1, number 2, he was about to pass it. Now he's
what
passed.
Account? What account are you talking about?
Stripe. It's the payment processing account. So, like, when you buy something off of our website, this third-party company is the one that processes the payment. And they have to do this double verification now. And when I went and did all of it, I like showed them my license, my face, and they're like, that's not right. I was like, well, that's me. And somehow it's under Joe's name, which it makes no sense because I've always been the one setting the crap up in the background. So I don't get it. But go get you a Shut the Hell Up t-shirt and see if you can still get one. And if you can't, check the PayPal pay option. There should be a PayPal pay option on the website that might push it through. Speaking of analytics, the Carolina Panthers hired an analytics guy. Now, I don't know why this is a big deal, because all I've heard is David Tepper and Matt Rule going back. I know we're not supposed to mention his name. We're not. This is like the Voldemort. What's his name?
Voldemort.
He who we do not mention, but like we were supposed to be so forward thinking in the analytics. And now we went and got this guy. His name is something Eric Iger, I believe his name. He has been real big at Pro Football Focus. I know people don't love Pro Football Focus, but probably the higher ups in the people in the background are important there, right? Not the ground people who are just evaluating the plays in some case. But mathematics, like he's got a PhD. Pull up the slide for that is Pickle. Thank you, Pickle, man. The C3 Legion does such a great job in helping me just stay on top of the Panthers news. He said, check out this Ross Tucker interview. He wrote this book, Football Analytics with Python and R, learning data science through the lens of sports. And you can also see, I don't know why, but I found this picture of him and I could not put it up.
So, dude, I tried to find the receipts, as the kids would say nowadays, but I'm positive that me and this dude got into a war of words back in the day on Twitter.
Really?
I can't find them, and I don't even remember what we were arguing about. But like, it got to the point of like name calling on like calling out shit in each other's profile pictures, like talking.
Oh God,
like legit talking shit. So I don't remember like what me and old buddy were fighting about, but we were fighting about something. But this is not a surprise to me, Tony. I mean, we've heard ad nauseum David Tepper talk about how important he wants sports and analytics, or the data analytics, to be in what the Panthers are doing. So
it would be silly for it not to be at $1 trillion level.
I still think he's a nerd.
Well, I listened to his interview on Ross Tucker, and what I liked about it sounds like your analytics guy is going to be a consultant for the coaching staff, right? And what I really loved about hearing about the analytics was not just, is it the probability of this, right? Like, is it fourth and whatever, you should or you shouldn't? But so much of it is, or there's a lot of factors that go into, and what was really interesting to me is what I found them talking about was kind of like time of possession a lot. And kind of, it's actually things that have existed in football, but we looked at them a little differently. Before it was run the ball when you're ahead, run down the clock, limit the possessions. But they spent a lot of time talking about Dan Campbell and the Lions going for it when they're up 14 instead of kicking it. And for him, it wasn't so much about whether you go up 17 or 21, or it was. I mean, that was part of it. But if you get that first down, you remove a full-on possession from the opposing team or more, as long as there's not a turnover or stuff. So it's like these things aren't really contrary to football philosophy. You're just having mathematicians weigh in on it more. And really what was I thought this was interesting is he was talking about how NFL football games, he almost, and I could be misinterpreted, but from a betting angle, you're almost safer to go under than over, because like there's not as, when these teams are there's not as many possessions in a football game as you would think, right? Is like you're going to have the ball 8 times in a game. And if you score 2 out of the 8 times, and so that was interesting to me. I'm hoping one of the things that I'm hoping that maybe analytics will, what they were talking about. I'm interested in if analytics are going to get to the place where it's not if you should go for it on 4th and 2, but what plays in your playbook versus their defense have the higher probability of success than not. So the Panthers hired this guy, Eric Iger, I believe is his name, but he is like, he's been a mathematics professor, and he wrote a paper on like the mathematics of like windmills and crap. So it's not like he's just a pro football focused guy who started the website and was trying to make numbers. But this was in the news. I was just more surprised it's in the news because I thought the Panthers were supposedly on the forefront of analytics. And now it seems like we really didn't want to, we were just saying analytics all the time and not really fucking knowing what we were doing.
Well, so listen, I believe that PFF has its place, but like, for example, I disagree with like ERH here. It's like pretty much you trust them over anyone else.
Sarcastic.
But a lot of, but no, I don't know if it is, but if it is or isn't, there is like a subset of people that take PFF to be the Holy Football Bible. And just because these people have watched every snap and they have put their own personal assessment to these plays and they put a number to it and they make it seem like these numbers are precise scientific data points that are cut and dry. But then you also realize that now that the NFL is incorporating PFF into the broadcast, into contracts, when these guys get ranked on PFF, the NFL teams will use that stuff and they will use their PFF performance numbers in certain categories to essentially decide whether or not, guys want to be extended or how much they're going to be extended for. I do not take PFF as like this holy doctrine of football.
Oh, I don't think he even put it that way.
I think it, just like everything else, has its own place. I do think there's a danger that happens when you rely solely on the data and analytics to tell you what's wrong with your football team, when you don't have your coaches actually providing the context of why you're not doing those things successfully. So if you're not hitting a certain number mark on your percentage across the middle of the field, there's a lot of things that go into why that is, and it might not have anything to do with the choices that you make on 3rd or 4th down. You might not have the personnel, or people might not be blocking properly. There's so many things that go into it that I feel like the numbers sometimes trivialize almost what's happening on the field when you don't have football people adding real context to it.
Well, I think so. Like, really, the idea with analytics is risk and reward. Like, it's kind of risk assessment of certain things. I know a guy who teaches at a college here in town, and I went to high school with, and he is a professor in kinesiology, so like human movement.
Yeah.
Right. But he was doing a side gig like we would all, like anybody writing for somebody, so he was just making a little, and his job was like to watch the offensive line for the Raiders for PFF. Now, I don't think he's the worst qualified person, right? But the data out is only as good as the data in.
Right.
And now this guy too, what he was actually saying is this: there's a difference between the analytics that are to the public and when you have a set of mathematicians and football experts working together to do it, right? Like, but he actually was pretty, and maybe he's just not trying to throw PFF under the bus because he helped create it probably. But he was saying it's not like a giant gap between the two. But to me, it's more bizarre when you have GMs that are like, well, I just pulled up PFF.
Right.
Now that to me is wonky.
Lazy. It's lazy.
Well, yeah, and I think
it doesn't. But also, like the one thing that I don't think I've said properly is, okay, PFF have people working for them. So even though they have a number and they have a science behind what they do, it's still people evaluating film and then assigning a letter grade to that player for what they had to do on that play. My only point is that
that's just the player part, though. But analytics in football are used more about situations, about not the player. Like, how did the player perform? At least I hope.
But Tony, this has been the argument in favor of Brian Burns the past few years, right? He didn't have a lot of sacks, but all the numbers will tell you how many pressures he gets and how much it matters.
Well,
and
pressures do change the game.
Things that just don't seem to show up on the field.
I don't think that if I was a NFL organization, I don't think I would be interested in analytics in grading players.
Right.
Instead, I would almost be interested in the analytics of like what the other team does well and doesn't well against, and then factor that into time, distance, down, decision. So my point is, go ahead.
Does the quarterback of the opposing team tend to look to the right side of the field in 3rd and long situations,
right?
And things along those lines.
Or are they susceptible in cover 2 to these 3 or 4 plays? I think would be one thing.
Do they call certain plays at certain times more frequently than at other times?
And assessing if you're on 4th down, what play to call, run, left, right, center, pass.
Like whether or not to go for it on like 3rd and 4th and short.
I don't like those.
If your defense has been on the field forever, you might want to run the ball just to keep.
Well, they're putting these things in the algorithm. I just don't think they can do that fast.
Analytics
live.
Analytics lost Staley the job in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Like, that's really what like that dude was using analytics. I need to go. We go 4th and 1. We're going for it.
There's one other thing, CK.
But here's what I want to say about analytics. I think analytics should not be used as a way to dictate your play calling. It should be used as a way to be able to give your team, your players, ammunition to be able to understand how your opponent, reacts to certain circumstances. I think that is what analytics can be utilized for. It should not be the decision whether you're going for it on 4th and 1. That should be a game time based on the current situation in the game, based on how you feel, and whether or not you have the personnel to actually make something work in that regard.
Well, hopefully if your analytics are robust enough in a way, it's not if you should go for it here or there. It's if you go for it and it works, this is what happens to potentially the game. If you go for it and it fails, this is what happens. Right. And there's a measurement of analysis there. I don't think Brandon Staley entirely lost his job because of analytics. Personally, I think Brandon Staley lost his job because defense sucked and he was a defensive coach.
I mean,
his defense was never fucking. You're right, but those 4th, he was going for it all the time,
and he lost some very high games, like
high profile position. He's actually the guy that tells people not to do the shit.
Yeah,
But I think, look, he wasn't good at what he was supposed to be good, and that's defense.
And then he was letting analytics dictate everything on offense. He didn't let his offensive coordinator make that decision. It was always his decision whether they're going for it on 4th down there, which I know that's a head coaching position to be able to take that. But that's where I think that analytics gets in the way. I think we've gone so far. We've overcorrected on the analytics side of things that it's like, well, analytics tells us that you're going to get this 7 times out of 10. So you go for 2-point conversions on these now instead of actually kicking the field goal, because even if you score 4 touchdowns, you're going to outscore based on doing 2-point conversions because you're going to score at least 3 of those 2-point conversions. It's a weird way to approach the game to just say analytics. They can have a place. I just don't think they should dictate your entire play call. And that feels like there are some coaches that are using that.
Right. And I think the other thing is that it turns out that so we have, I work at a big institution or semi-big institution. They go through these buzz phases of buzzwords, right? Like every 4 years, it's this thing. Then it's this is like, but it was data-driven solution, data. But you can't, like, the data informs you of decisions. It doesn't determine the decisions. And you're like, you can't just say this number dictate because it could be limited data. It could be incomplete data. It could be all of this. It's they're like data driven decisions. Well, what you would just need to do is just be calculated. You would be silly to not take account into the data. But you would also be silly to handcuff yourself. And it isn't as simple. And I think that's where hopefully analytics, and maybe this guy is going to kind of be the new wave with the Carolina Panthers, is that analytics are far more complex than this is an 87% probability. It's just what does these things do to the game here? Like if you get this first down, this is where the game changes to this position. If you don't get it here, the risk for, I just don't, because then you would go for it all the time. But I'm thinking
also,
this. Go ahead.
To ERH in the chat room, a lot. Listen, anyone can get an NFL Plus account and watch the All 22 film and watch every single snap. So again, if your only metric is, well, I'm only going to trust people that are watching every single snap. Last year, we posted entire videos of mostly every single snap of offense, damn near defense too, last year in our film reviews. But it goes back to that, what metric are you using to grade them on? Because also, when you're watching the film, you might be judging a player, and you don't even know what that player's job on that specific play was. So you're judging him thinking that, he probably should have done this, but in reality, he had a completely different assignment, or again, just the nuances that goes into making a play happens that fans, obviously it gets lost on us fans, but to think that it also wouldn't be lost on people that get paid to sit down in front of film and evaluate, like that's foolish too.
No, I just think it would be nice if you are the football coach to have a guy who was a mathematics scientist,
right? I was more
to say in here,
right?
like, hey, this is, and not just listen to him because he's not a football guy, he's a math guy, but to take into account some of those factors. I think we even go back to this, and I think what was the play with the San Francisco that was debated over, and then people like remember Shanahan comes out and said, well, the analytics said this, we didn't know, we were kind of split. It's like not everybody derives the same conclusions from all data, right? And so I'm just saying this is I think it was interesting to me. It was just like that this was a big deal, and 4 years ago we're sitting here thinking, we're listening to that buffoon Matt Fool talking about oh, we're going to look at how we manage players' time, Mark, and it sounded so complex. I go back to this is like half of these motherfuckers don't know what the fuck not know what they're doing. But did you hear the idea that the press asked Antonio Pierce if they made the decision about drafting Brock Bowers with a coin flip?
Wait,
did you guys hear this story?
No. What happened?
So there's a story that's floating around here, and they asked Antonio Pierce about this. Isn't that the name of their head coach?
Yeah.
And they asked, and they drafted Brock Bowers as their first round draft pick. So there's another player who went on a podcast who said that they called him up to tell him that they weren't drafting him, right? Because it was like this or that. And he said that they said they flipped the coin. Now, my intuition says that they used that as a figure of speech, where it's like, hey, it was a coin flip, but we landed on Brock Bowers. And this kid, devastated that he wasn't getting it, kind of maybe played it as more real. But they asked Antonio Pierce in a press conference about it. And he's like, I'm not going to address that. But the idea is like, that wouldn't actually fucking be that crazy if we really thought about how some of this shit works. Like every time they put in the pick and they're celebrating and high-fiving, like they're basically paper, rock, scissoring for between two, I just always, now I'm to the point, look, is I know they're experts. I do trust them. I know they know more than me. But sometimes these guys don't know as much as we think.
Yeah, but I also don't like to just do this blanket thing of like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm looking at, so I should just outsource my opinion.
Right.
Yeah,
no, I think that
they know better, so whatever they think, well, that's what I think too. And dude, call me ignorant. I've never fucking been that way in my life. I just don't like being dictated to about,
you're
to,
a good human. You got a brain.
yeah, man, dude, and
You're
that's
a good
like
human.
in life when it comes to football, politics, religion. If I
Don't
feel
be
like
a sheep.
if I feel like something's being forced on me, bro, you better get that lame shit the fuck out of my face, man. Like, I'll fight back. Hey, Viva la Revolution. Didn't we say that shit earlier?
Yeah.
Like,
Don't
I'm willing
be
to fight about some shit.
Don't be Marvin.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Don't be Marvin. Marvin got his head blown off in Pulp Fiction. Have an opinion, folks. Have an opinion. All right, let's go back to Panther Pickle. Only 2 more calls, and we're about out of here.
Hello, this is Panther Pickle. I'm much more nicer right now, this time. But seriously, what gets me is people's complaints because Bryce don't have a strong arm. That makes absolutely no sense. When we drafted him, we knew that. Nobody drafted him to throw in the 90-yard bomb. I mean, that's common sense. We didn't draft Christian McCaffrey to be a power runner. We didn't draft Steve Smith to be the best wide receiver in the league, but at the time he became that. I mean, nobody drafted Derek Brown to lead the NFL in sacks. I mean, it's just fact. It's not mean, it's fact. It's fact. We didn't draft Chris. I mean,
facts.
It is what it is. Way back in the day when we actually signed Brad Hoover, I started to say draft, but we didn't draft Brad Hoover. Nobody drafted Brad Hoover to lead the league in NFL in rushing. So don't expect that. We drafted Bryce to be a precision passer, not have a super powerful arm. If you're expecting him to have a super powerful arm, then you're not seeing it correctly. If you're pissed off because you don't have one, then that's not why he was drafted. I don't like the 3-4, but we're running it. I have to accept that. I mean, I don't like pretending a tight end is a fullback, but we're probably going to. Let's stop living in a dream world and live in reality. Reality is we're throwing darts at a window and seeing if it works. Sticks. It's just what we're doing.
I don't know what that saying means.
I mean, common sense. Common sense is if you expect Bryce to have a super powerful arm, he's not going to have that. He was never going to have that. He wasn't drafted to have that. If they drafted a quarterback just to have a super powerful arm, they wouldn't have drafted Bryce Young.
I went and saw the Planet of the Apes movie, by the way. Did I?
Understand what your players have and work off that. That is the key to success in the NFL. To understand the talent you have and to build around that talent, not force that talent to play the way you want because that's what you want. Let's all be a little bit smarter about these decisions and about where this team is going. Stop thinking in 1989 or 2001 offense. This is a new.
Also, all right. Thank you, Pickle. We've got. We're going to finish it off with brand ambassador D from Sanford.
Yo, what's going on, my C3 family?
What up, D?
Sanford, North Carolina. Shout out to the great Tony Dunn, to the homie Cody Lack, to CK Cold Diesel.
What's up?
My whole C3 Spaces family and muscle marinara, that effing guy. So as we get on and we're leading into this dog days of summer, waiting to get to training camp, and you got a little OTAs here and workouts here and there, I want to remind everybody, I understand you got that PTSD. I understand that Panther season last year might have made y'all want to jump off the side of a building. But let's be quite honest. A new coaching staff, a new motivator, a guy that sits there that's at an age that he can relate to the young quarterback, Bryce Young. We put 665 pounds added to that interior line between two guards. We've added weapons. We added that country boy, Xavier Leggett. We got Deontay Johnson. We got JT Sanders. I expect big things from Trimble. And the fact that guys are showing up to the workouts, they putting in the work. Leggett out there running routes that the detractor said he couldn't run, so he can be great at those routes. Right now, I feel like we drafted dogs that are ready to put their head down and grind. You got Michael Barrett feeling disrespected for where he got drafted at. I feel like he's going to come and show out something for us. I feel like at the end of the day, Deontay Johnson wants to prove a point and show that he's a number one receiver in this league. I think that at the end of the day, when we're looking at our running backs, Jonathan Brooks wants to be a franchise running back. I think Tommy Trimble is going to excel. I even think that the guys that we brought into this defense that's familiar with a Barrow system is going to make us better. And it's going to take a minute. New staff, young guys, got to get the chemistry, got to get the reps. But when Dave Canella's got guys like Andy Dalton who sat there and played 16, 17 years and he taking them back to the basics of receiving a snap, it's letting you know that we're about to get back to keep pounding. We're about to get right. So the only thing I got to say is if you ain't with this team, you ain't with the success of this team, you ain't invited to the parade. For everybody else, keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Let's go.
Hämmere weiter.
Emma weiter.
Shout out to Keto who says, ape together, better than ape alone. Or ape alone. HOD. I'm assuming that's from the new movie.
I went and saw it. I saw it today.
Pickle was live streaming it on Twitter. I was like,
the movie?
Yeah, he got the website hookup. He was streaming it.
He gonna get canceled, bro.
Yeah, I told him. I messaged him.
He's gonna be like Monty.
Yeah, I know. I messaged him. I'm like, man, they're gonna take your shit down, bro.
It was good. It was good. It wasn't. Actually, I would just say that earlier ones I enjoyed more than this one. I mean, it wasn't that I disliked this one. My wife liked it a lot.
Apparently, everybody that's seen it is like really enjoying it.
Yeah, man, it was nice. It was good. I mean, it wasn't bad. I just really, really liked those first couple ones. So I mean, that's going to always be hard to supplant something that you're really into. Yeah, Kristen Butler, she said that that Twisters movie was there were some cool previews at that movie too. You got Twisters, which is like the old remake of the Chasing the Tornado movie. And the other, there was a Quiet Place one that's going to be kind of cool looking, you know, like instead of it just be, but it's like how it started. And there was some other, do you guys remember that movie that came out? I didn't think it was good. And I read the book and it wasn't great either. And the name of the book was something like Cabin at the Edge of the Earth or something. Mm-hmm. And it was about the people that just showed up and they were like, you got to kill. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it.
Yeah.
And it was like these 4 people show up and they've been like, if you don't kill this person by this.
That was an interesting movie, actually.
I didn't love it.
So
it was interesting.
But there is another one coming out called The Strange. It's called The Strange. It kind of reminds me of that. It's The Strangers. And that was up there. Anyway, so I went to the movie.
They're not talking about Planet of the Apes. They're talking about this GameStop madness, man.
Oh, God.
Apparently, this is happening again where
we're trying to buck the system.
Yeah, and now, like, again. Super illegal bullshit. All these apps and shit, they're trying to stop people from putting money into AMC and GameStop. There's no such thing as meme stuff. See, Kevin, fuck you, bro. I know my shit, dog. I need to invest.
You know what? That shows you the real anti-status that we are right here. Is that's big money trying to prevent people from playing their game.
If you
Somebody
watch
help me learn how to do the stock market.
the
'cause I've
movie?
never gotten into
if
that.
you watch that movie, dude, it's people
It's fun.
Oh man, that
I like
movie.
it.
Dude, when you see there's too many. It's what we've talked about all the times. Where there's smoke, there's fire, dude. And when you see the connections games or that Robin Hood had to the people losing a shit ton of money, and then they decide to stop this, it's clear as day who they have their interest in, and it's not the people that are that are normal individuals investing on their apps. It is all about the people that are billionaires that they care about the most.
Right. And when we find a win in a way to use their system that they've used against us ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Like where they believe they don't have any and then all of a sudden
they have to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, that actually shows the hypocrisy and the fucking problems and all of it built into it. So yeah, I'm for the common man on this joint.
Absolutely.
Tell us where we going. To the moon, I'm in. I'm putting $10 in. Fuck it. $100.
Is it just as easy as like making up like
That's the thing is that by the time I hear about it, it's way past the point.
what do you have to do? Like, is it easy just to buy a stock? You just I've never done it.
Yeah, and a lot of these stocks. So now there's a couple of apps that will allow you to buy where you don't have to buy the whole stock, right? Like, so if you buy Apple, you could buy one share. It's like $181.
So how much is a stock of GameStop right now?
It's probably like about $10.
All right. So what y'all?
I don't know. Actually, I can look it up.
So then who do y'all?
48.
If I was to open an account, who do y'all recommend for me to open? Okay, thank you, ERH. He's saying Robin Hood. See, I know Robin Hood.
So you know what is Robin Hood
was the ones that did the shady, but they did the shady shit the first time around when they pulled
because they got over leveraged. They got over leveraged themselves, right? And that's when you see that in the movie is that they didn't have the money and the ability to do what they were doing on their own anyway. Dude, you know who? It doesn't matter who you buy it through now. Because what Robin Hood did do that changed the game is they took away all fees. So like I got a Charles Schwab account, which was originally a Scott trade. Then it went to Ameritrade. Like it's been bought 3 times, but it's owned by Charles Schwab now. But there's no trade fees anymore. That's what Robin Hood really changed about the game is that, you know, you had to pay $15 per trade. And then you're already having to make $15. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was harder to make money. So now you can go do it. I think you can buy stocks in PayPal now. Not 100% sure about that. Cash App might be another way. Look at some of those apps. They got that. All right. So that's that's the show. That's the calls. Let's do some ice up picks and
appreciate y'all, chat. I'm planning on get me some stocks. Fuck it, to the moon, baby.
And I tell you this it's a weird it's a weird game out there. Oh wait, hold on. We got one call that just came in. Let's hit it up.
The C3 Podcast, the longest running fucking guys in the game, bro. These fucking guys, longer than anybody. Fucking all of them, all the other jabronis with their other bullshit. Fucking, I'm not even going to plug their shit, but the C3 Podcast, longest running show, great guys, fucking paisans, you know what I'm saying? All right, boys, so we got a game in Germany, huh? The only thing I know about Germany is beer and Hitler, and I don't really like either one.
He does it.
Anymore. Beer kind of sucks.
A liquor
and
guy.
Hitler, he didn't seem like a nice fucking guy. So fuck that guy.
Yeah.
What do I know? I'm from the Jersey Shore. We fucking... You know, we live off of fucking Jaeger bombs and fucking skanks. You know what I'm saying? Either way, I digress.
There's no other way
to
live.
In Germany. That's great. Hopefully, it's against the Giants. That would be a good thing. That'd be a fun thing. Hopefully, Brian Burns doesn't touch our little quarterback there. And I noticed there's a lot of debate tonight. Still about Bryce Young and yada yada yada. Cam Newton saying shit and. You know, it's whatever, bro. You spoke the truth. It don't matter. I mean, you know, I'm pulling for Bryce, but right now he's a big piece of shit. And that's all there really is to it. He played like shit. He won 2 games. You know, the last time I seen that, we had a quarterback named fucking Jimmy Clausen. And then we had another quarterback that was French, like LaFleur or some shit. And then we pulled some fucking guinea off the couch, Testaverde. That was a wild year.
Matt
You know what I'm
Moore.
saying? And then we got Ken. Ken did his thing. Ken was our best quarterback ever.
Yep.
And then it was Jake. And then it just falls off from there. It's just a bunch of bullshit. It kind of sucks being a franchise and just naming those whatever. Either way, boys, enjoying the show. I had a few drinks, so forgive me if I sound a little fucking.
I'm surprised I didn't
tipsy.
get this call earlier.
Anyway,
it came in an hour ago.
I gotta go.
Thank you, Muscles
Appreciate
Marinara.
that.
If you're in Spartanburg, South Carolina, go check out Monster Subs. I think the most bizarre thing, not the most bizarre, but a real Paisan, Jersey, New York style deli is tucked away in Spartanburg, South Carolina, folks. It's worth it. Go to Monster Subs, support Muscles Marinara. But you know what? He supports us because he's our boy. He's our Paisan. I love you guys. Christian Hunt says ape together stronger than data. $2. I like that. This is gonna be fun.
He gave us 2. He said ape though stronger than Bryce. And
so this isn't about the movie. This is about something else.
This is about basically it's a meme on like password week. It's so somebody said the password ape, and then it's like ape strong password at that point in time. They had the little
right until you
moderate
get green.
yeah, exactly. And so the idea is we are weak as individuals, but together ape strong. And
it's perfect as the movie's hitting too.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Ape doesn't hurt ape type thing.
Yeah,
that's actually there's some the internet, they're clever apes. All right, you're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We got one last segment. Stick around. We're going to ice some fools up, tell them to toughen up, get it together. But don't forget, we'll be here on Friday night with the Friday free-for-all. And kudos to you, Cody, for coming up with a really great thing. Sometimes I'm really not surprised, but I was like, gosh, what the hell are we going to talk about? And what was yours on Friday? And I was just like, damn, that's a great launching point right there. I was really impressed. Friday, they have a great conversation where any fan can be a podcast host.
That's it. You can be a host of the podcast that you're listening to, man. Every Friday, we do the free-for-all. You can join via StreamYard. And you can be a part of this Panther conversation, man. We over here at C3 pride ourselves on being a group of fans in the car on the way to the game, talking Panther football, baby. That's who we are over here at the C3 Panthers Podcast.
And during the season, we get to do it on the way back during the postgame show.
And dude, Tony, that Friday show, there's not a show if not from my boys. My regulars that show up every single Friday, ready to talk shit without fail, man. It's the best thing to look forward to at the end of the week.
It's really, really cool to have a community like this. It shows you what having a common thing to talk about brings. And now we can just be friends. So it's like we got one thing in common, and then we get all this diversity of cool people.
We're gonna need to talk because everybody wants to meet up at training camp. And
we're doing it. It's even easier in Charlotte.
Yeah, we gotta do something. I even have some ideas we need to toss around too.
I'm in that. I'm in it multiple days this year. All right, let's ice some fools up, Cody. This is where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, get it together. It's our homage to Steve Smith.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
All right, this is our homage to Steve Smith. You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast, literally 11 years, and we're like 2.5 hours, and this is a short show. And this is the longest segment on that longest podcast where we ice up someone, tell them to toughen up, get it together. Everyone is fair game. It doesn't have to be football oriented. Who do you guys, anybody craving to go first?
I got something. I got 3 of them. They're all short. I can do them in any order you want.
All right. How about this? CK, you got one for us?
I have 2, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll go first since I only have one tonight. I don't really know what I'm icing up in this video. I have not. First is,
I've seen this.
I don't think fighting in the grocery store is cool. B, this old guy is drunk, clearly. I mean, I feel like he's either drunk or mentally disabled in his own way when you hear him like. But also, the end of the video calls me for an ice up, too. This is what happens when an old man squares up against a woman. Really, probably twice the size of the grocery store.
Who in my chair? I've been waiting on this. Come on. Come on.
Oh, she about to beat his ass. Like, he took his shit off like he's about to fight.
Like, you're your best bet to just walk away. I'm confused. You
have no business telling
her to shut up.
Look, he can't talk.
He's drunk off his ass, huh?
So come on, you gotta swing. So that way I'll be justified when I whoop your ass.
And I want to know, does this first swing count as a swing? Like, if somebody does that, is that a swing? Can you
Literally just walk away. Just walk away. Like, are you kidding me?
Hit him with the one-handed quitter.
Yeah. But this is the part that's fucking bananas. That she just got his immobility card. How
she got into her hover around scooter?
Like, how could you be that ready to box in the dairy section of the grocery store, but still need the cart to roll around on? I might send all of it up from the guy squaring up with nothing, getting his ass busted, and then her getting in the cart. I think somebody got to take that cart away from her. Performance enhancing drug.
That is pretty pimping, though. You fucking knock someone out and get in your
get on the, like,
and just
get back. All right, that was my ice up.
Okay, you CK, you got one or
I got 2.
All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm hoping I don't take any of yours here.
No,
Cody,
you're good. I got some obscure ones.
All right, let me throw this one up. This might be one we've done before. I don't know, but I came across it and I'm like, I got to do this one. So,
yeah,
is this one we've done?
Oh, dude,
maybe we just play it because I love it.
All right, let me do it.
It's explosion, I think.
So there's normally music with it, but
that's good. Thank you. I think this thing, fuck it.
Oh,
his hat, his wallets. I think he did. He was fucking. It's like a scene from The Boys.
I think this dude is gone. Like, I don't think he exists anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he got hit with a
my god!
I don't think we've done that one. That is not the one I was thinking.
Is that really real?
One more time.
Oh, dude, that dude is fucking done.
Look, it's like his license and shit is flying.
But what kind of machine is that? What is it?
I have no idea.
Like, probably for pouring steel. Vent that. Be careful venting that.
Dude, it
hat comes down. Look, there's like, where is he at?
Bro, it took him off of his feet.
Bro, it's
bananas, bro.
Yeah, that one's
I mean, if
wild.
you're gonna go out, that's not the worst way.
And then this other one. Hold on, let me get it pulled back up here. And this could be all just fake, to be honest with you. But
yeah, hey, you know what? We're here for it.
Yeah, this is wild to me. So just be nice to your homies in high school. One day they might become your wife.
Oh, zing.
Wait, I missed that. What?
Be nice to your homies in high school because one might become your wife.
What? So his homeboy became his future wife? Bro.
What's up with this kiss, though?
That's why I think it might be fake. Is like it's. I look at that and
I like the first one.
Yeah. But I'm just icing that up because it's the reactions to that are absolutely hysterical.
Oh, I'm sure the comments there.
Oh, dude, that's a big no comment from me. But first up, I'm gonna ice up Sexy Red because sometimes there's some shit that you just don't need to say out loud. Like when she put on Instagram, she's going to the doctor to find out why her coochie stank. All right then. So she felt the need to put that out.
It's like when we over Instagram.
Yeah, it's like maybe don't share that to everybody.
And your name's Big Sexy?
No, it's Sexy Red.
Oh, and she's wearing.
I'm telling you, don't know Sexy Red.
No, I don't.
Damn.
All right.
Then my next ice up is this poor loser who gets out of his car just to beat his own fist
against the window and break his hand.
That dude's definitely broken already a couple bones. Just
and never does anything. It just walks away, dude. He had to just rage quit. God, what a dumbass. He's got to feel so stupid, right?
I gotta wonder if I can break a window. I mean, I don't want to try because it comes with too much risk of breaking bones. But
and y'all may have seen this one.
I've seen a couple of these floating around. What is this about?
So there's like this video portal from Dublin, Ireland to New York City, and so okay. By the way, what I'm about to show you, this is what made them take it down. So this is not available anymore. This beautiful young angel of a woman comes up and graces those Dubliners with some beautiful bouncing potatoes.
That's why you took it down?
That's why they took it down.
Oh,
because this chick went up showing her fucking beautiful tits. Now, by the way,
you don't take it down for that.
Yes.
I thought she was gonna run and try to jump through the portal. And be like, it's not a real portal, baby.
To show you how fucked up it is, right? This is what made them take it down. But the other day, the people in Dublin were like showing pictures of 9/11 and like bringing up famous New York rappers that died and shit. Like showing some real fucking heinous shit. And this beautiful young lass.
Yeah,
shows this beautiful.
I'm just saying. This is about world peace.
100%, dude.
She's a dime piece, bro.
Dude, she's got everything, and none of those people in Dublin are upset that young.
I just thought the thing that would have taken it down is someone believing it was a real portal and trying to jump through it.
So ice up, man. Let that go. Show her tits.
That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We're here every Tuesday night. Cody Lack.
Hämmere weiter.
That is Keep Pounding.
Hämmere weiter.
Hämmere weiter.
Hämmere weiter.
Take us out of here, brother.
C3 Panther Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.